A very good afternoon. It's exactly 1 o'clock. Here with your sports headlines, I'm Amelia Beltrao. Simon and Danny agree Mikel Arteta has to be judged at the end of this season. Despite Arsenal's last-gasp rescue act against City, the gaffer is being accused of not using any of his flair until the second half. Mr. Jordan says no excuses. He has to transition into a winner.
If their motivation is to participate and be a top side, then Arteta stays there until he shuffles off his mortal coil. If their motivation is to win something, then there's little excuse.
I agree with that.
Little excuse.
Elsewhere today, is laziness really a problem at Villa Park and to blame for their winless run this season? Troy Deeney reckons so and is concerned by the apparent lack of effort from Ollie Watkins. But Danny Murphy disagrees and believes that's a bit harsh on Unai Emery.
One thing I've not seen from Villa in the time he's been in charge is laziness. So I don't know if a few of them maybe have got in that comfort zone where they think their place is certain. That can happen.
Cole Palmer is going to be assessed ahead of Chelsea's Carabao Cup tie with Lincoln, according to Enzo Maresca, as after he hobbled off the pitch almost 20 minutes into Saturday's 2-1 loss at Man United.
Again, he tried Saturday morning, he did the test, it was okay, but not 100%. He wants to be there to help teammates to be there in that kind of game, but unfortunately then with 10 players and also it was painful.
Lincoln versus Chelsea will be live on talkSPORT tomorrow. Now, if Marcus Rashford wants to cement himself into Barcelona's starting 11, he's going to have to sort out his time management skills. He was apparently 2 minutes late to a pre-match meeting, so was dropped off the bench for Getafe, but did secure an assist once he was brought on. We're hearing Christian Horner's been handed a whopping £80 million payout to leave Red Bull, and the incredible deal means he is free to return to F1 as early as next year. And with the Ryder Cup set to get underway on Friday, the latest episode of the brand new talkSPORT Daily podcast is available now. Sean O'Brien and Rupert Bell preview this year's tournament. Tune in to the talkSPORT app or wherever you get your podcasts from.
talkSPORT News.
Nigel Farage says Reform UK would restrict welfare to British citizens only if his party win the next election. And a cyber attack is still causing travel delays for thousands of passengers at Heathrow and European airports. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Buy 2 or more Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres and claim Bridgestone's massive 20,000 mileage guarantee. Visit quickfit.com and book today. Conditions apply.
Most places will be dry at the start with plenty of sunshine. A few coastal showers are in play. Temperatures below average.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT, where this afternoon I will warn you in one of his moods. Anyway, what's coming up?
Coming up over the next 3 hours, Troy Deeney on timid Arteta and when players know the managers for the chop. Danny Kelly goes game by game through the Premier League programme, and Martin Keimer's cat, a miracle of Medina. Celtic supporting Craig Connolly builds up to Friday's Ryder Cup. That's pretty good.
When you're in a bad mood, you're faultless with the intros. It's fantastic. We also want the minute in which you'd claim a free sausage from your club. I will explain more on that later. What happened when you were late, Marcus Rashford style, and what were the consequences? And Saints fan and Olympian Ewan Thomas on Team GB's Gold-Free Athletics World Championships.
There's all this, plus we'll reflect on an emotional weekend in the WSL, and Lincoln CEO Liam Scully pops into the studio ahead of big night in Carabao Cup against Chelsea tomorrow. You mean a guaranteed win?
Big night for them.
Good night for them. I think they'll be going through to the next round.
Fair enough. So thereabouts, I told you he was in one of his moods. It is 5 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Andy, I take it your mood is Chelsea related, is it?
Well, yes, it is. I mean, it was pathetic, wasn't it? I mean, really, honestly. What 3 managers on the weekend were incredibly negative, and none of them apologised, and they all paid for it.
Right.
It's amazing.
You want to tell us, you want to list who they were?
First of all, Arteta said, no, I didn't do anything wrong. No, that was the right thing. Well, that's why you changed it at half-time, because you didn't do anything wrong and you were 1-0 down. That's nonsense.
Right.
Pep, why did he take Haaland off? Why did he take Doku off? I've got it in my notes. You're going to concede now. It was so obvious.
Yeah. Goal at the Emirates.
Oh, it was bound to happen. Absolutely.
Not cool. Our producer had given up. 3 minutes left. He's sending us messages.
He's saying,
show. Info about tomorrow's show. He'd given up.
I know.
And I said no. We both said no. They're definitely.
I said to him, it's going to be goal at the Emirates, Mike Boville. I sent Mike a text.
You could tell. Goal at the Emirates. That was it. He said,
Look, put it this way: you're in a position. You've lost your goalkeeper after 4 minutes. You've got to make a sub.
Yeah.
You've got 3 attacking players.
Yeah.
One of whom is injured. One of whom said in the morning, "I'm not sure I can play. I might,
Did he tell you that, did he?
Well, he said. He just said. Maresca just said just now.
Right, okay. Is that why you threw a pen at the telly?
Because he just said,
he threw a pen at the telly.
Said,
like it's going to hurt Maresca.
Cole wasn't fit in the morning. He weren't sure about it. Well, whatever he is. Might as well be Welsh. He's useless. That was absolutely ridiculous. And then he takes the 2 off, and then he has to substitute Palmer. That was absolutely... And, of course, in the second half, Chelsea still... Manchester United shouldn't be deluding themselves. Chelsea won the second half. They won the second half 1-0.
Well, 10 against 10.
When it was 10 against 10 and they had no attacking players on the pitch.
No.
So...
It was quite Conte like that. I remember him waving the white flag when we played Arsenal once when he thought, now this game's gone. I'll just take the good players off and we'll see what happens. And then it's 10 against 10. You haven't got any attacking players.
I know, it was ridiculous. Absolutely ludicrous. And the thing is, after the Club World Cup, I was really looking forward to the season. I thought, this is it. Chelsea are ready now to challenge. And then Colwell gets injured on the first day of training and Delap's out till December, and they've sold Jackson. So they're now in big trouble. They haven't got anybody else.
Right.
They brought Gui back from Sunderland, but I've got a feeling that they're deliberately not playing him unless they absolutely
Why is that?
Because they can't send him back out on loan. And if he's played, because he's already played for Sunderland, so if he plays for Chelsea, he's stuck at Chelsea the whole season. You can't play for more than 2 clubs.
No, of course, that's right.
So I think that's the
So
situation.
he won't be playing tomorrow night?
No, well, he's cup tied anyway, but I don't think he's going to play at all unless Pedro.
But him and his agent are delighted.
Oh yeah.
Brought back.
I don't know this, but I'm presuming.
No, I can understand your logic.
The fact that he's had not even a kick, you think, okay.
Yeah, they're a bit worried they can't send him back out in January.
I need to see a bit more from him. Do you? You kind of liked him last winter, so when he got injured.
I do love these. I think the company should charge you for these therapy sessions. Do you feel any better now?
No, it's so frustrating. It's just, it's a long season stretching ahead of us now. You think, well, there's nothing down for this season at all.
Oh, it's a bit early, isn't it? Blue square within 5 years. It's a bit early for that.
No, it isn't. First of all, look at Arsenal. They've taken 1 point out of 6 from their 2 rivals because of his negativity. They're not going to win the league playing like that. They're not. Yeah, they can flat track bully all the rest of them, but if they can't beat the teams around them, how are they going to, how are they going to win the title?
I mean, they certainly have the tools to go toe-to-toe with anybody. And, City had a couple of nights less to recover.
Yesterday, I just, as soon as the things, I'm not being wise after the event, but I just wrote down in my notes, you have to play Eze if Odegaard's not fit. You cannot play that midfield.
No.
Look, defensive lineup from Arteta, why not play Eze in Odegaard's place? If he's missing, you have to.
Yeah.
Smuggo's always too conservative in the big games.
You call him Smuggo, do
Well,
you?
he's so smug, isn't he? He thinks he's so great.
Well, there we are. That set the tone. So a couple of things to get going on this afternoon. We're going to have a chat with Danny Kelly. We're going game by game through the Premier League weekend. Troy Deeney is going to join us for a chat. And what's it like in a dressing room when the manager... he played for Watford, so this is an experience he's had a few times. When you know the gaffers for the chop I don't know if the West Ham players are feeling like that or not, but it does have that sense. And also, I think he's got his own comments on the Arsenal City game yesterday and Arteta's approach. So we'll get Troy's take on that. He's never one generally to talk out against Arsenal, but maybe he'll break that bit of a lifetime today. So a couple of things to get you going on as well. Marcus Rashford turned up late for a team meeting, found himself on the bench for Barca last night. I mean, I'm sure all of us thought, what are you doing, Marcus? You just had this brilliant game. I mean, whatever the circumstances, we'll get there on time, man. There are consequences to arriving late, and we'd like some of the consequences you suffered for arriving late, for whatever it was. Do let us know this afternoon. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089 and tweet to TSH&J. The Brilliant Sweeper podcast always turns up weird stories from the world of football, such as Finnish club SJK have a brilliant tradition where fans get a voucher for a free sausage if a goal is scored in the 78th minute. Known locally as the Mikara Minuti, spectators grow increasingly excited as the minute approaches and passionately chant for sausages. Must be like an old episode of That's Life.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Prince.
Well, it would be great.
It's the club mascot.
It gets to the 78th minute and then suddenly, you commentators saying, well, you can hear a slight... They're starting to bubble now, the cry of sausages, sausages, sausages from the SJK fans. So what minute would matter? That's 78 minutes. I don't know what the significance of... I don't know if you often feel like a sausage 78 minutes into a game. But what's the minute going to be for your team? When do you want a free sausage? It's like a Charlie's choice, that one. Talksport.com, text 81089, tweet it. I do like the idea of getting something 3, though, at a certain minute. If your team scored in the 34th minute and one gets a free beer or something,
good.
That wouldn't be a bad one, would it?
I wonder if the actual authorities they wouldn't be happy about that. It's a bit dubious, isn't it? Doing that.
It's a sausage, Andy. You're not given a gold bar.
Mind you, I did enjoy yesterday the moment when Pep gave the 4th official, Craig Pawson, an unwanted kiss.
He gave him a kiss, didn't he? Yeah.
He wouldn't be the first Spanish person to give someone an unwanted kiss.
No, that is very true. Pep always has a little bit of white spit ready to go, doesn't he? Have you noticed that? He always has a little bit.
And also, he had a bit of a zit on the...
oh, did it? Was that what he was?
I imagine it was a little plaster. I imagine it was covering up a spot. But AJ Tracy, who came in last week...
Yeah.
He had like a gold star, like a sort of star on his head. And I thought, well, I wonder what that is.
I didn't notice that.
Did you not notice the star on his head? And I asked Georgia what it is, and apparently it's a thing to cover up zits.
Oh, is it? Gold star? I thought he just got a good mark or something at school.
Pep needed one of those.
Yeah, maybe it's a gold star for Pep. Anyway, the price you paid for being late and in what circumstances, talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089, tweet to TSH&J. What have we got here? But Andy's got a point, says Dan the cabbie. My shoulders slumped on the 134 bus when I saw the team news coming through. Opportunity missed, so he's obviously a gooner. Arsenal season ticket holder. There we are. You got Mark, the Newcastle fan, agreeing with what's going on at your club.
The same mistake against Liverpool. It's a really odd thing to do. Look, perhaps he's got time to change. Perhaps he will become a bit more. He was very adventurous in his first season. They were, played some lovely football.
Well, let's have a chat with Troy Deeney, shall we, and get his take on what happened. But Jamie Carragher made some interesting points about inherently cautious managers that he worked under. They always slightly had the handbrake on, and they never won the title. He said they won things, but they didn't win the title. Anyway, Troy's up next. Danny Kelly's going to go game by game. Everything we've been talking about there and we're talking about this afternoon. Very happy for you to get in touch. Talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH&J 03717 223344. Troy Deeney with us next. We're here, of course, with our good friends at Tool Station. Next stop, Tool Station.
Ekitike through the legs of the goalkeeper, and he scores. Of course he does. Liverpool beat Everton at Anfield for the 5th time in a row.
West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 2, and wow, what a goal from Tyree Mitchell.
In driving rain at Turf Moor, Burnley 1, Forest 1. It's Wolves 1, Leeds 3. Remember, Wolves were ahead early in this game, but Leeds have been running riot since then. Brighton 2, Tottenham 2.
It is a red card and it's gone to Robert Sanchez, the Chelsea goalkeeper. 10v10 now. Manchester United 2, Chelsea 0. It's finished at Old Trafford. Manchester United 2, Chelsea 1.
And it's a looping header, an own goal by Pinnock. Fulham 3, Brentford 1.
They finished Sunderland 1, Aston Villa 1.
Gabriel Martinelli, his first touch to get away from Guardiola's exquisite is absolutely sensational.
Yes, what a weekend it was. That's how it unfolded on talkSPORT. We'll go game by game with Danny Kelly. Some talking points, of course, have emerged from the weekend's football, and here to discuss those with us is former Watford striker, our very own Troy Deeney. Hi, Troy.
Afternoon, gentlemen. How you doing?
Not so bad. I said you've never been one to openly criticise Arsenal in the past, so we are going to have to ask you to do something you generally don't do. But yeah, I think you do have your own thoughts about Mikel Arteta's approach yesterday in the draw with City.
Yeah, I'm one to keep my thoughts reserved, is what I'd like to say.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I just think they've got a fantastic squad. I think his approach is very similar to Gareth Southgate's, which is he will get you so far. He's very solid, has a pragmatic approach, but he's got wonderful talents there. Just let them off the leash. Just let them off the leash. That front three, if they would have went with Saka for 60 minutes, Madueke and Eze playing, I guarantee you Man City would have been blown away.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. When you were playing, though, Troy, did a manager... Because I think 3 managers got it wrong this weekend, at least. Do they ever... I mean, publicly, they all go, no, that's exactly what I meant to do, and it was all fine. But privately, do they come in the dressing room? Would Maresca, for example...
That was on me, boys.
Say, actually, I got that completely wrong. I should have taken Palmer off, not you two, and done it like that?
Probably not. No. Most managers aren't going to tell you that they got it wrong. They may address it in a debrief that maybe we could do something different the next time. But they're very rarely have I been around where a manager says, I got that wrong. Very rarely.
Would the players, you think, be a bit frustrated when you feel like...
play well in the dressing room, though.
No, that's probably right. But when you feel like you've got a squad that can go toe-to-toe with anybody, and you're playing a team that played 48 hours after you did, I mean... Will players be a bit frustrated? Maybe would there be a bit of chat at training saying, maybe we should have had the handbrake off a little bit more. We could have won that.
Yeah, and it'll happen instantaneously after in the change room as well. It will feel to Arsenal like it was a good point in the end because they nicked it. Obviously, it was a great finish as well from Martinelli. I don't want to go away from that. No. But even him now, he'll be having questions saying, "Why aren't I playing?" He'll be talking to his agent, saying, "What do we have an out here?" Because even if Eze doesn't play or Saka's out, well, Trossard starts before me. So these are the questions that players have and they start to think. And again, if you're Eze, you've just watched Cole Palmer come off injured, Jude Bellingham's not back, Foden's not firing. You want to play in these big games to showcase to everybody, and especially England fans, I'm the man. And then he's on the bench again. So for me, I just think it's frustrating.
Yeah, but also surely they bought him to play in that position. He's not a winner.
And look when he pops up with that fantastic ball for that goal.
Yeah, and he looked a threat the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that for me is why they, the questions are fair to be asked. Like, you brought in Gyökeres to score you the goals in the big games. At this moment in time, he hasn't done that, but he's still, 3-5 or 3-6 at this moment? 3-5, isn't it, at this moment in time? So he'll say he's doing okay. But you brought in these players for the big matches because last year and the year before, you fell short in these big matches. So you have to now go and win them. And I think he's got no excuses. You've got unbelievable talent. No one from Man City was arguing about how many injuries they've got, because they've got a lot of injuries, by the way. And it's always been about, Arsenal, we've got injuries, Saka's not back and Odegaard's out. Okay, but you've bought in Madueke, you bought in Eze, you bought in Gyökeres. You should be in a position to go and take it on, and they didn't do that, in my opinion. It's another one that got away.
Do you think it's Pep that plays into it? You think he's slightly in awe of Pep and he overthinks it a little bit?
They did it against Liverpool, though. Same thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I agree. I think if he did do it against Liverpool, you could probably make that argument, but he did it against Liverpool. And now you have to, I think his approach is, and this is just me speaking out loud, I think he thinks if we don't lose the big games, those boys will take points off each other and we'll win everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I agree with you.
No, they're quite. I mean, we talked a bit about the new boys in the Premier League, the new strikers who are kind of feeling their way in. Another pretty quiet game for Gyökeres again, wasn't it?
Yeah. You're trying to get me in trouble here, aren't you?
I think they call that a leading question. Yeah.
Look, I think the kid is a good kid. He's a good striker. Obviously played against him when he was at Coventry. I'm just not convinced he's the guy for the big games. And if you look through the history of his goals, he very rarely scores his goals against the top teams. It's always 2s and 3s against the lesser teams, like we've seen against Leeds, for example. So I still think he scores a lot of goals. I think he gets you roughly 17, 18 in the Prem. But I don't think that'll get you past Haaland. It definitely won't get you past Isak. It definitely doesn't get you past Salah. And those are the boys that you're trying to compete with. So for me, it's a frustration. And in these games, if Havertz was fit, he would have played. He would have played in that game because he's a better footballer.
It may not get you past Ekatike. It's interesting, isn't it? The situation. I mean, I say good problem to have for Arne Slot, but he's looking very good, isn't he? He's playing very well. He's hit the ground running.
Yeah, and also he's probably the opposite to Ollie Watkins at this moment in time. He's got a battery in his back where he's saying, right, I'm going to keep Isak out and I'm going to make it impossible for you to drop me. So if anything, you got to move me out to the left, which is his more natural position as well if you look over his career. But if you look at Ollie Watkins, for example, he's now the main man at Villa. No danger that he's got to play every single week. And you just come off it 5 or 10%. But I think for Liverpool, it's a wonderful, wonderful position to be in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you can just rotate. I think the subs at the weekend with Wirtz and Isak came on. Yeah. It's not a bad place to be.
No, they're in a good position. They're 5 points ahead already. You know, that's going to take a bit of making up.
It certainly is. So
we haven't spoke about Chelsea, guys.
Oh, I think
we letting that one go.
And he's got that off his chest. I think he's got that off his chest. He got it out of the way before we got. I'm interested to know when. I mean, look, you played at Watford, so this is something you definitely would have experienced probably 1,000 times. But when you know the gaffer's days are numbered, I don't know if that's the case at West Ham. It's got
that's
that
so unfair.
Yes,
I only had 18 managers.
But I mean, what is it like in the dressing room when it's not working? I mean, the players. How often do they look at themselves and do they start saying to their agents, look, I'm here because he came. What happens if he goes? I mean, is there a concern?
I've never been in a dressing room where a player's gone, it's my fault he's getting sacked. If I played better, he would be better. It's always the tactics and it's a blame game. Look, I was at West Ham the weekend and I said it last night on the show with Madge. It was sad. It was genuinely sad to be there. It's a wonderful football club. There's nothing there. There's no positivity. It's a completely disconnected place. And also on the pitch, they were poor. They had a 15-minute spell. He's a friend of mine, so I hope he understands what I mean. Watching Callum Wilson play was uncomfortable. He's not the player he once was, and he's leading the line for him. And that's someone, by the way, that they bought in.
Yeah.
So they're talking about all this new recruitment, but they bought Cal in. They dropped the goalkeeper who they spent quite a lot of money on as well. It just doesn't feel right. And I think Potter's days are numbered, but I now think it's, indicative of who West Ham are. Who's going to make the final decision?
Yeah.
By all accounts, Brady wants to get Nuno in, and apparently Sullivan wants Bilic back.
Right.
So
Nuno would be a better bet.
Exactly, but they're not even on the same planet, though, are they? Is my point. They're not going down the same type and style of manager. It's just one's going for nostalgia and one's going to be pragmatic. So, I think they could do a lot worse than going and getting Nuno, and also I've got to give him a little bit of credit because Mel Gaffer, I don't even know if he wants to come back to work, but Sean Dyche would do pretty well to get hold of that place.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's still early enough to save them,
Yeah, blimey, absolutely. Yeah.
And also, Wolves are terrible. Let's call it as it is.
I don't think they're as bad as West Ham, though, but there you go.
So just a quick one. I'm sure you were never late for training or a team meeting, Troy, but you probably knew players who were. Poor old Marcus. Yeah. Marcus let himself down there after that brilliant performance against Newcastle, didn't he?
Yeah, and I was the one to give him so much credit afterwards because I am quite harsh on Marcus. But someone keeps showing you who they are. Start to believe them. Yeah. Start to believe him. If he keeps he keeps doing this, when he gets to a high, and he self-sabotages every time.
Yeah.
Every time. You know the rules, you know what you're supposed to do at Barcelona. And I thought that would actually help him because they don't care. They've got rid of Zlatan Ibrahimovic before, Ronaldinho. Like Marcus Rashford is no different to that. You're not better than that. So I actually thought this would help him because he knew the rule, knew the system. And then typically does well. And within 24 hours, 48 hours, he's dropped for being late.
Yeah. Troy, we will catch up with you. Are you back in Friday?
Yeah, mate. I'm down the road if you ever need me. Just give me a shout.
Good stuff. Okay. Cheers, Troy. All the best.
Cheers, lads. Bye-bye.
Troy Deeney there, resplendent in his MLS shirt. And if you're watching telly, you'll know that. You can now watch talkSPORT on Samsung and LG TVs, Fire TV, Chromecast, Apple TV, or just grab the app on Android and Google TV. We're even on Prime Video. That's talkSPORT live on your screen as well as your speakers. We will go game by game through the Premier League weekend with Danny Kelly in a few moments' time.
Well, if Mikel Arteta had his handbrake on yesterday at the Emirates, then Pep Jose Guardiola had a clamp on his vehicle. So says Ali McCoist.
I was fascinated by that game yesterday, Jeff. I really was. The talking point's not Arteta this morning. The talking point has to be the way Guardiola went about that game.
Pep's side had just 32% possession, which is his lowest ever in a top-flight match. And McCoy says he didn't have an issue with Arteta's selection, except that Eze could have started in place of Mourinho.
I don't think he's wrong at all, starting with Madueke and Trossard, right? He could have started with Saka, but it looks of things, and he could have started with Martinelli. Well, we could have a discussion. Does he start Eze in the middle of the park instead of either? We're talking about two players here, Marino and Zubimendi.
Meanwhile, after Villa extended their winless run this season with a draw against 10-man Sunderland, Troy Deeney says he's concerned by the apparent lack of effort from Ollie Watkins.
As a striker, you can't always guarantee you're going to score, but you can guarantee you put yourself about and you give the opposition something to think about. At this moment in time, he just looks off it. He looks comfortable.
And after a first World Championships without a gold medal since 2003 for Team GB's track and field athletes, our correspondent Michael Waydock says there are no excuses.
I think when you put £20.45 million of taxpayer, lottery payers' money into a sport, you are entitled to ask questions.
There's more at talksport.com.
Plenty of live sport coming up this week. We're going to be chatting to the Lincoln CEO a little bit later on. They play Chelsea in the Carabao Cup tomorrow night. Liam Scully's going to be here, and we bring you that game on talkSPORT 2 tomorrow night. And, of course, got Ryder Cup at the end of the week. Rupert Bell is hot-footing it over to Bethpage Black for that. Keep us updated. But a bit quiet on the live sport front today, although you've got news, Andy.
Well, I found one, actually. I've been looking through the scores around the world, and this one's fascinating. It's from the Kazakhstan League, Women's League. It's Shymkent Women 12, Atyrau Women 0.
Wow.
We're in the 79th minute. I don't know if there's any sort of turnaround on the cards there, but it seems unlikely.
Potter-esque management by the... Anyway, that's something that may get picked up. Even that's probably a bit out in the boondocks, I would say, even for Trans-Europe Express every Sunday night. But Danny Kelly joins us now. Good afternoon, Danny.
Good afternoon. Yeah, that is, even by Andy Brassel's global standards, probably a little bit obscure. Though, of course, the World Cycling Championships are on today on television.
Oh, good.
For the first time in Africa. They're in Rwanda.
Yeah, I saw that. I noticed that the other day.
I'll get you...
Part of the growth of cycling on the African continent was reflected by one or two very, very good riders now in the big major tours.
I'll get Eurosport on, Danny, on one of the channels, so I'll work on it. Anyway,
yeah, definitely. Everybody's
had their two penneth on Arsenal versus City. We'll just let you say your piece, Dan. What was your take on that game? 1-1, of course.
I think... I'll tell you what I think about it. I think that people have long memories, both myself and Pep Guardiola. I have a long memory, so I'm happy to say, Manchester City, the Erling Haaland team.
Yes.
Yes. But Guardiola himself has a long memory too, and I think the way he set up was reflective of a game 2 years ago. When 2 years ago Arsenal played Manchester City, and that was the last time Manchester City had so little of the ball. Now, the difference was in those days they had Jack Grealish in peak form, they had Kevin De Bruyne in peak form, and they had Erling Haaland. All three scored in a 3-1 City win. And I think he was trying to replicate a little bit of that. However, Arsenal are a stronger team these days. Their bench is stronger than Manchester City, so that's just a fact looking at the players who are available to both clubs. And, we saw the game shift from one team being too defensive in the first half, Arsenal, to another team being too defensive in the second half, Manchester City.
That was exactly the issue. And, look, we've talked a lot about it already, so we will move on then to Sunderland 1, Aston Villa 1. And I was taken just through the highlights, had a pair of little ear pods on, watching sort of extended highlights back at the Sunderland game. And the noise. And it was, Andy always says about Boca go behind and they just sort of shrug it off and get on with it. And like as soon as they went down to 10 men, you heard the roar from the stadium, and it was like, okay, yeah, we're going to go for this. We're not giving up. We still fancy our chances. I think they really were the old 12th man, the crowd yesterday.
Look, it shouldn't happen. It makes no sense scientifically. They can't influence the flight of the ball or the athletic activity of the players, but we all know it does, and they were fantastic. And Sunderland were fantastic. Now, they've run into an Aston Villa team that are really wading through treacle, aren't they? So that, even the extra man didn't make that much difference in the game. I note that the player who got a kick in the hindquarters was Matty Cash.
Yeah.
But Paul, as a Spurs fan, will say probably pretty well deserved.
Yeah, exactly.
Sunderland, the crowd were fantastic. But I think that's one of the things that make me feel that Sunderland have got a decent chance of staying up this year. All these promoted teams will rely on their home performances. Peace to Leeds, who we'll come on to in just a second. But that really was good. I mean, the other thing to note from the game, I think, apart from Sunderland's spirit, was the goal that Matty Cash scored. Robin Roofs, who's had great reviews for his performances so far, gets a hand trip, doesn't stop it. Very similar to Vicario at Brighton. Now, I'm not one of these ones. Every time they bring in a new ball, all the managers and goalkeepers say, it's too light. It moves too much. Well, if they're all being lighter than the previous one, surely they're like a balloon now and are moving around like a boomerang. But it's not. It can't be. But it is a fact that two very good shot-stopping goalkeepers were beaten by the ball swerving this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. The flight was odd, no question.
It was because he's proved what a great shot stopper he is, and he pulled off a couple of great saves before in that game. But it was out of character of him, and he just seemed to lose the flight of it, didn't he?
Yeah, both he and Vicario appear to underrun the ball as it takes a last-minute swerve. We all see it, and Andy would be better at this than me, in cricket, where the ball moves very, very late. Often when it's past the stumps, it'll start to swing. And this football appears to take very, very strange trajectories. I'm not normally supportive of the people complaining about the ball, but this does look a bit odd.
But I think we'd rather see good goals and good saves. Unless it's against your team.
It's the same for both teams.
Which it was in that case.
Yeah. It's but it's very interesting because another promoted team taking something from a game. It's worrying times for West Ham, Wolves, and Brentford. They really, last year you could relax because you knew the bottom three were going to go down. It was inevitable right the way from the word go.
I've got the number here somewhere. They've taken 19 points, is it, so far? The three promoted teams. That's a really, already. One of them is 10 points ahead of those, or in one case, Wolves 10 points ahead, in others 6 and 7 points ahead of established Premier League teams. And we know that most of those will improve, but you can't be allowing that gap to get too big,
Yeah. It's interesting. The guys earlier on with Jim and Simon and Danny were talking about these comments by Unai Emery saying it was the players were lazy. I think it's a bit of a Tuchel situation, repulsive. I think I think he understands what the word lazy means.
Yeah.
I don't think he's calling out individual players. He maybe thought it was a bit of a lazy performance, but there's something not right there, isn't it? Maybe the Europa League will get him going.
He went back to using a lot of product in his hair.
I think. Well, we've told him he needs to use more gel. Definitely get back to the Dave Vanian look.
Until he's Ray Reardon, we won't be happy. Listen, the word lazy there. This is a man of great intelligence, a brilliant football coach. My suspicion is it was deliberate, albeit in a second language. Because he's not going to say in a press conference, I'm going to give these a kick up the jacksie, which is what he wanted to say, I suspect. There's something not right there. The lack of the loss of a load of forward power through transfers and people, loanees returning. One or two don't look like they're as happy as they were last season. Hard for us to tell. We're only going on body language here, but something definitely isn't right there.
But what a miss from Watkins. A great ball from Sancho. And
Cash was nearly on the end of that. And Donnell Marlon was sort of one-on-one and sort of ran out of steam. There's something not quite right, isn't there?
Ollie Watkins definitely off his game now. I wouldn't begin to say a reason for that, but miles off his game.
Now, not a stunner by all accounts. Bournemouth 0, Newcastle 0. Maybe a bit of a Barcelona hangover from Newcastle's point of view. Bournemouth probably would have fancied their chances and capitalised on the fact that they played midweek, but
it's their third 0-0 away in a row.
They
isn't it?
didn't
Strange.
really. It was a bit of a strange one, but no Gordon, Visser, not etc. Players missing.
Well, despite the 0-0, it still adds up to Bournemouth's best ever start to a Premier League season. They might have won the game, I think, as well. But if you are on the south coast in the autumn or winter months and looking to entertain your family, Bournemouth against Newcastle is not your starting point. We had exactly the same result with exactly the same lack of goalmouth incident in the game last year. So, as I say, better off going to a fun fair or a decent chip shop.
It might be a nice sort of aquatic centre or whatever in aquarium.
But Iriola's really put himself in the frame for a big job. I mean, he's done a brilliant job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great, yeah.
I thought the Malik Chow thing was interesting, where he put in 3 fouls that could have got him yellow cards, and in the end they decided to get him off before it got any worse. But I mean, in the current climate refereeing, I'm surprised he stayed on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, yes. If you look at I'm not suggesting for 1 minute Casemiro didn't deserve to go, but the sum total of his 2 bookings were probably less than Chow did in that one movement.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're gonna pull the bloke back, you might as well go do it a second and third time, because you're only ever gonna, if you do get booked, you're only gonna get the 1 yellow card. So he decided he was having his moment there in front of the referee. Consistency on this we're never going to get, are we?
Not a penalty for me, Clive, on Voldemar as well. I don't know what you thought, guys. Did you see that? The sort of shirt pull in the box. It didn't look like a pen to me anyway. So.
Did he have his shirt pulled, Paul?
He kind of did have his shirt pulled, but
then it's a penalty.
Well, he sort of pulled his shirt, then he sort of fell over in reaction. I think he could have stayed on his feet.
But the pulling of the shirt, you can't do it accidentally, Paul. It's deliberate foul.
Yeah.
I don't want to see too many penalties given, but shirt pulling is a pet peeve of mine. If you grab a fistful of shirt, that is a penalty.
It made no material.
It's one of my favourite Clint Eastwood films.
Yeah, Fistful of Shirt was fantastic. John Inman and Clint Eastwood. It was the partnership they said never would work. Much like Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel. So this is a perfect spot to tell you that the latest episode of it says here, Danny Kelly's Trans Europe Express.
Yeah, very much.
Expect a letter from Andy Brassel's solicitors. It's available now. Danny joined by Andy Brassel, very much the second wheel, according to this read. The guys discuss Marseille versus PSG clashing with a Ballon d'Or ceremony, and more on that later. And Jose Mourinho returning to Portuguese football at Benfica. So don't miss out the new exciting episode of Danny Kelly's. There it is again, Trans Europe Express. You can listen to it now on the talkSPORT app or via your favourite podcast platforms. We've got more from Danny Kelly, and indeed we'll be joined later on to talk about the Ballon d'Or and that Marseille PSG clash with Andy Brassel. But for now, we're here with Tool Station. Stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Tool Station. We're going game by game through the Premier League weekend with Danny Kelly. Later on, Andy Brass will join us. We're going to talk about Marcus Rashford. And we did ask you earlier on, the talkSPORT listener, about the price you paid for being late. Stuart says, my wedding was cancelled because I was late. We decided to have the stag do the night before the wedding day. Andy did that, schoolboy error.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it was 50 years ago.
Yeah, unfortunately, we ended up oversleeping and getting stranded in Cardiff. The wedding was called off on the day and ultimately never happened. But it's a bit dark, isn't it, Stu? Well, me. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Anyway, Danny, let's have a look then at Fulham 3, Brentford 1. That's our next game.
Yeah.
Andy's he goes to Brentford, but you're getting a bit worried for him, aren't you?
The guy sitting next to Brentford, I like her a lot, and is a big passionate fan. He's getting worried, so I'm getting worried.
Yeah.
And, he didn't think Fulham were that great, and they scored first, Brentford. Amazingly, they got a goal that wasn't from a long throw. I don't know how they managed that.
Well, they were gifted it.
Yeah, they were
really,
gifted
unfortunately.
it. Josh King. But they got done by the old 1-2 punch from Fulham, and, it was a bit unlucky Ethan Pinnock with his own goal, but in the end it seemed like a fair result.
Yeah, I think the alarm bells for Keith Andrews, and it's very early days, of course, but they've already in 5 games managed to lose 8 points from winning positions, Brentford.
Yeah.
And now look, that's good in one way. It means you are getting goals and you are getting ahead, but losing them like that, Brentford don't have in most games that much margin for error, do they? And in this game, I guess it's rare you can say that the game was decided by one performance, but Alex Iwobi really was outstanding in this game, and he got the goal, and he also had that brilliant pass for Wilson's second goal. And there wasn't that much between the teams, but on the day, Iwobi was that defining factor between them. Obviously, you felt a bit sorry for young Josh King. Interesting how quickly his teammates got around him and really they were hugging him as though he'd scored the goal.
Yeah.
Not giving it away. Very interesting.
The no-look pass. I mean, it looks great when it works out. Not so good when it doesn't.
No, not ideal.
And, I mean, look, they are still picking up the pieces. If you're losing players like Wissa and Mbeumo and stuff, it's not easy. So there's going to be a period of transition, so you've got to give them a bit of time.
Look, the change in the forward line is amplified by the change of manager. Now, they've done what they've done by appointing from within in the hope that the structures that Thomas Frank had left there with the team and the club could just be eased onto the new team. But it's never as simple as that. Yeah. When you change any kind of team, not just sports teams, they take a little bit of time to coagulate. The problem with the Premier League is you don't get that time. No. And then when the results start to go a bit sideways, the time becomes even worse because people's confidence drifts away. But look at Wolverhampton Wanderers. We'll get onto them very soon, I know. But, are they a bad bunch of players? I don't think so. Will they start to look like one if they don't turn things around in the heat of the Premier League? Yeah, they will.
Absolutely. Let's move on to Manchester United 2, Chelsea 1. Andy did 15 minutes at the top, so I think we'll just kind of get your take. Let's hear from Enzo Maresca, shall we, first? He spoke to the media after the game. He explained the changes he made so early in the game after Sanchez was sent off.
We decided to change something tactically after the red card and the goal we conceded. And then call change was just because he was not 100% fit. He made the test this morning to try and play this game. So the effort from him was unbelievable, just to say, with the team and playing this game. And then he started to feel something.
What a load of nonsense.
I did say earlier on, Danny, it did remind me of that Arsenal game when Conte sort of waved the white flag and made attacking changes, saying, well, we'll just write this one off. There's nothing down for us today. We're on to the next one. And, of course, when it was 10 against 10, they didn't have the cutting edge, Chelsea, to get back into it. So
no, they had the wrong... Once Bruno Fernandes scored, Chelsea had completely the wrong team on the pitch, obviously. But in many ways, and I don't support Manchester United or Chelsea, so Andy will forgive me, this is my favourite match of the weekend. I love the chaos. I loved the stupidity of professional footballers. Hello, Casemiro. I loved the rain. Absolutely bucketing down, and the sight of Alex Ferguson and Sam Allardyce sat there, the ghost of football past. It was all tremendously enjoyable stuff. Unless you were a supporter of Chelsea. I didn't get the Cole Palmer thing. I don't like the admission we took him off because he started less than 100% fit. Sorry, you've got a squad of 700 players at Chelsea.
Well, they haven't. They've only got 26 players, but same as everybody else actually. But I think the thing is, well, they have. They're only allowed to play. They're only allowed to register and play the same as everybody else. It's a myth this about how many players they've got.
How many of their players are 21?
What he didn't need to play was he should have taken Palmer off first. It's clear. That's what and for the neutral to see Neto go, to see Esteval go, so wonderful to watch, and then see Palmer to go. It wouldn't make much of a spectacle. And really, United, I thought they got a bit carried away. You think about it, as I said earlier, they lost the second half 1-0 to a team who weren't very good.
That's fair. And I mean, since we decided to be fair and accurate, Andy, I've given plenty of stick over the years to Bruno Fernandes because I think he's a bit of a nuisance. But as a footballer, I think that was his 100th goal for Manchester United. I mean, he's often played in sort of. Not even as a number 10, he's played in normal midfield. Amazing contribution. And whereas I thought they should have accepted the huge offer they got from Saudi Arabia for him in the summer, I now wonder where they'd be without him, And
they didn't get a penalty, which was a clear penalty, but there you go. Yeah. That's the way Webb's VAR works. You get a couple of decisions, then you don't get another one for about 6 weeks. Brilliant.
Wolves v Leeds. Let's squeeze that in before we head off to the 2 o'clock news and sport. As we were just saying, I tend to kind of look at Wolves. They get the early goal, and you think, they'll get going now, but then they just get picked off, and they're 3-1 down at half time. So. It's very odd, isn't it? New contract for the manager as well.
Well, look, the new contract for the manager and the new contract for Jurgen Strand Larsen. This is pretty brave stuff by the Wolves management team. The administrators, the owners, they've decided we think we've got the right stuff here, and we're going to say to the players and to the fans, this is what we're going with this season. And there's no reason to believe that they won't improve. They're probably a better team than that game showed. They dominated the stats, but Leeds got 3 good finishes. The problem for Wolves now, and look, all statistics are there to be laughed at. They're the 6th Premier League team to lose their first 5 games. So far, only 2 of those have survived. Now, of course, they were very bad teams. I'm not sure Wolves are a very bad team. No. But listen, it's a bit like some of the British athletes in the recent World Athletics Championship. Given the opposition a 15-yard start, is not the great tactic you think it is.
They have an appointment with Mr. Tottenham at 8 o'clock on Saturday evening, although maybe Mr. Tottenham is different now. We'll find out more later on. And well done to Leeds. They needed those goals, and good to see Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Lovely header, wasn't it? Yeah.
As well, that's right. So still plenty to get going on. More games to run through with Danny Kelly after the 2 o'clock sports headlines. Graham Potter got a bit salty with a moose the other day. We'll bring you that as we discuss the West Ham Palace game with Danny Kelly after Amelia Beltran with the sports headlines.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Thank you, Paul, and a very good afternoon. A boring game or a fascinating one for the purists? Scholars are divided over what to make of Arsenal's draw with City. Professor Jordan reckons, like many others, that City, just like Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, were shown too much respect.
Are Man City the team? No, they're not the same team as they were a couple of years ago. So comparing what Man City might have been like against what Man City are like now, and then saying, well, actually, you have to factor that into the equation, they're not the same side.
Right.
Hence the reasons why they get beat.
Well, Danny Murphy is convinced a lack of creativity at this stage of the season shouldn't concern Gunners fans, given the myriad of squad options, and says we shouldn't forget the scale of what Arteta's already achieved.
Between 2017 and 2023, they were getting pumped. 9 times City and Liverpool scored 3+ goals against them. So now they're a side that go up against these top teams and actually are very competitive. Who goes to Liverpool and stops them having a shot on goal?
Elsewhere, Enzo Maresca says they're assessing Cole Palmer's fitness ahead of their EFL Cup tie at Lincoln tomorrow night. He was taken off after 20 minutes of their defeat to Man United at the weekend, as he appeared to be struggling with a groin problem. The gaffer admits they're now not so sure how severe the injury is.
It's more day by day, week by week, game by game to see how it is and decide what we do.
PSG players and staff will be missing tonight's Ballon d'Or ceremony after their clash with Marseille was rescheduled. It was called off yesterday due to severe weather, and league rules say the game has to be played the next day. One Paris player will be in attendance, though, as he deals with a hamstring injury. Only Ballon d'Or favourite Ousmane Dembélé. And Red Bull have reached an agreement with Christian Horner for £80 million paid off. He's free to return to F1 as early as next year. There's more on this at talkSPORT.com.
talkSPORT News.
Nigel Farage has promised to ban all foreign nationals from claiming benefits if Reform UK win the next election. And campaigners are pushing for vapes to be sold in plain packages. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Come rain or shine, wherever and whenever suits you with our mobile tyre fitting service. Now that will have you driving away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Most places staying dry today with plenty of sunshine, temperatures below average but feeling pleasant in the sun.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on Talk Sport. More from Danny Kelly. We've got 4 games to bring you over the Premier League weekend. We'll have you and Thomas joining us for a chat. We'll talk a bit of Southampton, his club, but we really want to talk about Team GB's pretty poor showing at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. No golds, a reset, say the powers that be. I wonder what form that will take.
Root and branch.
Indeed, root and branch. Maurice Hamilton, esteemed, venerable F1 journalist and author, has popped in to chat about his new book. He'll be with us later. And Craig Connolly knows what it's like to win the Ryder Cup on the bag of Martin Keimer at the Miracle of Medina. So Craig's going to join us, and he's a Celtic fan, so we'll squeeze a bit of football in as well. But as we said, Danny Kelly's with us. Before we bring Danny back, we're going to look at West Ham 1, Palace 2. Graham Potter spoke to talkSPORT's Ian Abrams, a lifelong West Ham fan, after the 2-1 defeat at Palace. It was a little bit frosty, I think it's fair to say.
Do you still think you're the right man for the job?
Yes.
Even though we've had a poor start to the season?
Yes.
Fair enough. Can I ask you about the couple of team selections? No, I mean, listen, I asked the question, you answered it, fair enough.
There we are.
It was all right. He was curt, but not short.
He was Kurt. He was Kurt Potter.
Something like
Which I think is quite a suitable name, isn't it? Yes. Things are not good at West Ham. We were talking to Troy a little bit earlier on, Danny. It's a bit of a mess at the moment. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next few days.
I mean, logically, all that can happen is that poor old Graham Potter will not be taking that team much further. You know, 6 wins from 23 since he took over, and increasing vulnerability to set pieces. And, you know that things are not going your way when there are literally thousands of people protesting, albeit against the board before the start. And then, of all people, Tyreek Mitchell decides that he's Zinedine Zidane and volleys in that goal. You must know that if I'm not suggesting it's today, your time is up. You must know it's not going your way. I love Tyreek Mitchell. He's a bouncy, good player. I don't expect to see him popping up and scoring goals like that. And of course, it's typical of what happens when the team is in very, very bad form. There's not much to say about this. It just doesn't seem to be working. My only worry for West Ham, insofar as I do worry about them, is that I see that Nuno is a favourite to take over, and then you're changing horses in midstream from a possession manager to a manager who doesn't care about possession, and you wonder where are the players, given Nuno's normal way of playing. I suppose Somerville can play on the break. I suppose Jared can play on the break. But after that, I don't see much suitable to the way Nuno tends to play.
You might get a game out of Fulcrum, though. He's sort of Chris Wood if he gets there.
Yeah.
But Palace, there was a lovely glancing header by Bowen. And I've just written here, brackets, nice house. I know that because they did a feature on Danny Dyer and Strictly on Saturday night.
Right,
they showed her at home.
Who would have thought that an England and West Ham footballer's got a nice house?
I know.
I thought they'd be living in a hole in the ground. Yeah,
fair enough, isn't it?
But it's going. I mean, considering again, we talked about losing big players when we were talking about Brentford. But again, Glasner's lost. And we just saw how good Elise was the other day. You lose a player of that quality, then you lose Eze, and you're picking up the pieces. But
they still have Wharton. They still got Mateta. They still got the right back who's
Gay.
Gay, and they're well coached. And again, he's like Iriola's another one. Will land a top job. He's a very
they're
good
ironclad, aren't they, Palace? The things that the players. I'm not saying they're interchangeable because that is a stupid thing to say. But the system is pretty ironclad, and will get them a lot of results. They're doing great.
There was a great story the other day popped up, and it said West Ham considering an interim manager to the end of the season. And one West Ham wag said, yeah, because we've only got 33 games to see out and then we can start again. Give an interim manager in September.
It's funny, we were just saying off air, people feel sorry for managers, but, Potter, of course he wants to succeed professionally, from a moral and mental point of view. Yeah. But, they're going to walk. He walked away with about 5 million from Chelsea. He's going to walk away with at least a couple of million from West Ham. I never feel too sorry for football.
Andy, I'm sorry, I don't agree with you there. When you see Christian Horner's payoff, all managers are really, really poor.
They are.
I think they'll be old souls.
The LMA are going to get some angry messages today.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Why we're being exploited like this?
Yeah.
Whereas a manager like Fergie walked away with absolutely nothing. It's quite amazing, isn't it? You get rewarded for failure in football. But there we are.
And there we are. Burnley won, Forest won, and we are starting to see the early signs, the green shoots of Ange ball, aren't we? Just a slight tweaking in the way Forest.
Murillo's already injured.
Yeah, tremendous. That's right. Yeah,
but you're absolutely right, Paul. They've gone from, as we described, with Nuno to being a team that looking to not worry about possession but get the ball forward quickly on the turnover. All right, listen, Burnley are, quite a defensive team by necessity, I guess. So perhaps these stats are a little bit skewed, but Forest had 63% of the ball and 17 shots away from home. It was all very Ange, actually. But having said that, having criticised Burnley for being too defensive in one game recently, here they got the point, and it's these points at home that are going to decide whether they stay up or don't over the course of the next 9 months. As I say, I've now found the stat again. It's 19 points already to the 3 sides who are promoted. Those points are worth double, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're points that they've got, and they're points they've taken away from other Premier League teams. So the thing of poning around like Spurs last year, and when we get to 33 points, we're probably all right. I suspect that won't be enough this season.
Yeah, I wonder at which point Ange will say he's really concentrating on Europe. Probably we'll find out after he's won it, I would imagine. After he's won the Conference League, he'll tell us the point at which he decided
The Europa
to
League,
concentrate on
Europa
League. Sorry, I do
they've been
apologise.
promoted.
I do
They've been promoted,
apologise.
haven't
Yeah.
they?
When's
He's going
Eze?
to win it 2 years running.
By the way, when's Eze coming to Spurs? Has he signed yet? I've been asleep for a few weeks. Where should we go next? Let's go to Brighton 2, Tottenham 2.
Even from the highlights, it looked like Spurs were the better team in this game.
Yeah, it was a very strange match, really, where, I called up with the highlights. I was listening on the radio of our coverage, and it sounded like Tottenham were all over Brighton for 10 minutes, and then Brighton scored, and then Tottenham got on the front foot again and were all over them, and Brighton scored, and then could have won it at the end. I mean, Xavi Simons had a couple of chances, didn't he?
Luckily, living in the EU, I got to watch the whole game at 3:00, and Spurs were terrific. This time, the game last year on the South Coast, they were 2 up and got beaten 3-2. This was none of that chaos at all. The 2 goals, one was players forgetting that they've got a new manager. It was the absolute Spurs Postecoglou goal conceded plus ultra. The 2 centre-backs on the halfway line, a gap of about 40 metres. I measured it as 4 London buses could have gone through the gap between them, and Minte just took advantage. The second goal was the boomerang ball. Vicario, like our friend Roofs, couldn't keep it out.
Bergvall at fault, wasn't it? Poor clearance, really.
Well, and Richarlison lying on the pitch when he was fit enough to get up and run around. There was a number of mistakes there by Spurs. But either side of the goals, Spurs were always the better team. And it just took... They were gutsy. There's a word you don't hear very often about Spurs. They were gutsy. And in the end, they brought on Xavi Simons for the last half an hour, played him centrally, and without making out that he was Iniesta or something, he was the thing that broke the dam in the end. They started to get the ball into the Brighton penalty area and play in places that made Brighton really uncomfortable. Spurs had an amazing amount of touches in the Brighton penalty area and deserved to win the game.
Brighton's record of losing Leeds is staggering, though. This must be the 12th, 13th time since last season, something like that. It's a lot.
I guess, if you keep selling your best defensive midfielders up to Chelsea, this will eventually catch up.
It's all right. They're playing, it's Brighton versus Brighton Gold on Saturday. I hate playing Brighton. It's a really awful thing.
A lot of West Ham fans were telling me when we signed Kudus that he was lazy and feckless. I mean, that might have been his brother Reg Kudus. I've not noticed lazy, I must say.
He's a really good player. He just couldn't be bothered last year. He knew that it was a disaster.
He was bad. He was bad, but he was in a terrible team at West Ham last year. And I know that's no excuse. That really is no excuse. You've got to give of your best. You've got to give of your best. But at the moment, lazy isn't beginning. It doesn't begin to do it. In fact, the Brighton left back, the Kalioglu, is that the fella's name? He started off well, but Kudus worked him into a nub in the end. They had to substitute him because his head was spinning by the end of it. No, so far he's looked great.
Let's move on then. It seems a long time ago now. Liverpool 2, Everton 1, but a couple of lovely Liverpool goals, especially Gravenberch's one. And you're right, Danny. You could argue pound for pound, Arsenal do have the deepest quality bench, although Liverpool pretty close when you consider who they were able to bring on in that game.
I said they had a deeper bench than Manchester City.
Not Liverpool.
Not
They're
Liverpool.
5 points clear and they haven't even been playing well. It's quite ominous, I think, for the rest of the league.
I mean, it was a really good game. First and foremost, let's just say that it was a fun game to watch. 2 lovely goals by Liverpool. But Everton are, even in defeat, and I know they often raise their game for the Merseyside derby, but you can just see in the way the players are relating to each other that they are just visibly improving week by week under David Moyes. Who incidentally has... Andy will tell me how shocking Chelsea's record at Old Trafford is, but it's nothing compared to David's at Anfield. 23 games, 0 victories. So that was I thought it was a good game. Gay doesn't get many goals, so there was that as well. But you're
What's
right.
with the white tights with him? He looks like a baseball pitcher. It's a really odd look.
Bit chilly.
It must be something for his muscles or something like that. Or some.
But
on a slot though,
it was nervy at the end, wasn't it? Really, once they got nervy, they kept them on their toes. And the infamous yellow card for Dewsbury Hall by Darren England for taking a quick free kick when they're obviously desperately trying to get an equaliser felt ridiculous.
Look, referees get enough stick on platforms like this when they deserve it, without giving us ammunition, and that lacked common sense, stupidity. And what's more, it lacked a feel for the spirit of the match.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. Football fans understand that there are rules that have to be kept. And if you imply them like that, they just take away from the enjoyment of the game.
Absolutely.
And that's no part of the referee's job, I don't think.
Danny, good stuff, as always. You'll be back Sunday night with Andy Brassel, I take it, for Trans Europe
On Danny Kelly's Trans-Europe
Express.
Express.
Danny Kelly's Trans-Europe Express, of course. Yeah. Thanks, Danny. All the best.
Thank you very much indeed. Cheers.
Danny
Bye.
Kelly there, rounding up the Premier League weekend. You and Thomas going to join us for a quick chat. Didn't go magnificently well for Team GB at the World Athletics Championships. Not as many medals, no golds. So a reset is upon us. What does that mean exactly? Ewan will explain. We'll talk a bit of F1 and we'll build up to the Ryder Cup with Martin Keimer's caddy, Craig Conley, who was with him at the Miracle of Medina, and will be getting his take on the Ryder Cup. That's all to come. We're here with our very good friends at Tool Station, ready to help at over 580 stations nationwide. Next stop, Tool Station. Now, Danny was getting stuck into Darren England yesterday. We have a new podcast. It's called Men in Black, and it features Sam Matterface and former Premier League referee Chris Foy. They dissect all the key VAR moments, controversies from the weekend. All the analysis is there, available every Monday on the Premier League all-access podcast feed and on YouTube. And Graham Scott, the former Premier League referee, is going to be with us in the studio, myself and Charlie, tomorrow for an extended chat.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, he has his thoughts on the future of VAR and the state of refereeing, so it should be quite interesting. But Graham sort of recently stepped away from the front line, will join us in the studio tomorrow. Now, World Championship Athletics has concluded with no golds for the first time in 20 years for Team GB.
22 years, in fact. Yeah.
Yes. It was...
it's only the second time ever, so it's a shame. We seem to have gone back since the Olympics.
Let's speak now to former Team GB athlete commentator Ewan Thomas. Hi, Ewan.
Hi, guys.
Every kind of gold medal prospect amongst the Team GB athletes seem to be saying the same thing. Well, after the season I've had, I'm just glad to get on the podium, or after the injury. I mean, it seems that quite a lot of tales of woe. I mean, has that fed into what's happened here?
I think there's two ways to look at that championships. On the one hand, you can say no gold medal for many, many years. It's a disaster. But on the other hand, actually, there were some really good performances. The likes of Jake Whiteman in the 1,500 metres. Everyone was talking about Josh Kerr, and rightly so. Mm. He's the best out there. But Jake has had a terrible 2 years of injuries. He's left his coach, which was his dad, which is a big upheaval. He's moved up north. He's made lots of sacrifices. So his silver medal actually was an outstanding performance, as was Amy Hunt's in the 200 metres. A lot of people didn't see that coming. So you could say, there's a couple of performances there which are brilliant. Max Bergen just missing out in the 800 metres, running 1:42 and not getting the medal, running a personal best. So I think people like that, and KJT in the heptathlon, who's had a terrible winter as well, and Georgia Hunter-Bell getting that brilliant silver in the 800. A lot would say, well, what happened to Keeley? She should have won it. Actually, her bronze was remarkable because she's had so many injuries. So actually, there were some good performances, but you can't sugarcoat the bad ones. No relay medals.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that happening before. The men's 400 mild event in '97, we had 3 Brits in the World Championship final. The likes of Matt Hudson-Smith, Charlie Dobson certainly should have made the final, and both probably medalled. So yes, Matt Hudson-Smith's had a few injuries, but Charlie would be disappointed because he's had an amazing season where he's run 44-1, but he couldn't quite find that form. So I think you can look at it and say this is a bad championships for Britain. Or you can look on the positives and say, actually, there were some amazing performances. Someone like Ty Donovan in the 400 hurdles ran a personal best in every round. So for those kind of athletes to run their fastest ever, you've got to say fair play. You're beaten by better people on the day. But for those household names who didn't deliver, they'll be asking questions. So, yeah, a mixed championships, in my opinion.
A little bit of an opportunity lost, because we were saying before the tournament's championship started, rather, there's a bit of a revival in athletics. There's a lot of interest, the big crowd at the Diamond League meeting. So it could have done with, building on that momentum, I think.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think actually on the world stage at the moment, we're in a really good place. The British athletics have done wonders with their teams, and there's lots of youngsters coming through. But that does beg the question, how come they didn't show up at these championships? So it has been a long season. Unfortunately, with athletics, people do get injured. You could see the delight, for example, in Katarina Johnson-Thompson with her bronze medal. A lot of people might think perhaps she should win, but once again, we don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. She's had lots of injuries this year. So for those athletes who've done very, very well, I think the momentum and the interest in the sport will continue to grow. For those who haven't done quite so well, then fingers crossed, it's just a little blip. We've got great coaching staffs, the likes of Darren Campbell and Martin Rooney, they're part of the relay teams. I don't think they're doing anything wrong. I think it is down to athlete error on the changeovers for a few of those. But, you as I said, you can walk away and think it was a good championships for a lot of those athletes who did deliver. So I think we're still in a great place. It's a big year next year. We've got the Commonwealth Games, the European Championships. Those are championships where the domestic athletes should be getting lots of gold medals. So I think if we could continue to build and next year goes well, then I think we're still in a great place.
Good. That's good positive take on it. Let's get a positive take on Southampton going to Anfield tomorrow night and getting a result? Ewan?
Well, I smile when you say that. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. You know, I love my beloved Southampton, but you know, you just don't know, do you? Once again, it's like any sport. You have to turn up on the day, and underdogs can perform. Let's hope Southampton can do that.
I mean, look, they're going to change things
they'll
up.
make a lot of changes.
Mamadashvili will play, but he's a brilliant goalkeeper. I would imagine Isak could do with a bit of game time, so
he'll play.
He'll play. But they'll chuck some kids in. Gomez will play. I'm sure they'll,
Ingemoa, he's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be a mixed team. It won't be a team that's played together much. And you often see in cup tournaments when you kind of put out a bit of a, not rag bag, but you know what I mean, a team of players that don't normally play together against a team that plays. I don't know, Saints, maybe they'll rest players, and I don't know.
You just never know. I mean, youngsters either step up to the plate, which I think most Liverpool youngsters will do that. You get the opportunity and they don't get much game time, so it's their chance to shine. And hopefully Southampton will do the same in terms of if they're playing the youngsters. It's the same, as I said, in any sport, you can freeze in that situation. We saw what the world champs, some athletes did. Other people grow 10 feet tall and take that opportunity. And it's no different in football. So, it's 90 minutes where hopefully we'll have a good game. And, I'd love the Saints to get a result there. I really would.
You're going to be watching Strictly this series. It kicked off the other day, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I missed the opening night, but I kind of watch it through like hands like that, thinking, I loved Strictly, but also it was terrifying as well. In fact, the other day I filmed Mastermind, and I said afterwards, I think that is probably the most nerve-wracking TV show I've ever done. Strictly is scary, but I have to say, Mastermind, when you're in that black chair with a spotlight on, that was terrifying. So, to take me back 20 years, I'd rather be an athlete. It was much easier.
Don't spoil it, but did you do all right? Don't have to tell us whether you won or lost, but did you do all right?
I did all right. Let's just say I did. My chosen subject was very random, and when it airs, people are going to say, "Why did you pick that?" I did all right.
Good stuff. Well done, Ewan. Thanks very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
There we are, Ewan Thomas there, Olympic silver medalist, former Team GB athlete. And look out for him on Mastermind. What would be your specialist subject, man, if you worked it out? Because it can be very niche these days.
Yeah.
Would it be Chelsea Football Club?
No, we tried it, didn't we? When we did, when I had a sort of...
Oh, yeah, we tried different things that you felt you had a knowledge of. What did you do best in?
Pasta shapes.
Imagine that we gets to that stage on Mastermind, man. Andy Jacobs, yes, joins us now. The Italian dish, different pasta shapes, and you got
the flour-based food substance.
Yes, I would imagine it would be. We mentioned earlier on the Finnish side that give away a free sausage to all their fans if they score in the 78th minute.
Very random, isn't it? There must be a reason for it.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe we should look into it with a bit more detail, as the guys on the sweeper might know. But Dave and Billy, I take it both. Oh, no, it wasn't Dave and Billy, was it? It was Matt and Dave, who are both Liverpool fans. Said we'd have either the 95th minute sausage. Dave goes for the 110th minute sausage. But I think they'd be giving out so many sausages at Anfield, it'd cost them a fortune. So anyway, we press on, and Maurice Hamilton, doyen of the F1 authors, will be popping in to see us, chat about his new book, Formula One Cars, the greatest F1 cars from 1950 to the present day. I think it's fair to say they have changed somewhat as technology has moved on. But it's a lovely book, and Maurice will be here to chat about that and the Azerbaijan Grand Prix yesterday and lots more besides.
if Mikel Arteta had his handbrake on yesterday at the Emirates, then Pep Jose Guardiola had a clamp on his vehicle. So says Ali McCoist.
I was fascinated by that game yesterday, Jeff. I really was. The talking point's not Arteta this morning. The talking point has to be the way Guardiola went about that game.
Pep's side had just 32% possession, which is his lowest ever in a top-flight match. And McCoy says he didn't have an issue with Arteta's selection, except that Eze could have started in place of Mourinho.
I don't think he's wrong at all, starting with Madueke and Trossard, right? He could have started with Saka, but it looks of things, and he could have started with Martinelli. Well, we could have a discussion. Does he start Eze in the middle of the park instead of either? We're talking about two players here, Marino and Zubimendi.
Meanwhile, after Villa extended their winless run this season with a draw against 10-man Sunderland, Troy Deeney says he's concerned by the apparent lack of effort from Ollie Watkins.
As a striker, you can't always guarantee you're going to score, but you can guarantee you put yourself about and you give the opposition something to think about. At this moment in time, he just looks off it. He looks comfortable.
And after a first World Championships without a gold medal since 2003 for Team GB's track and field athletes, our correspondent Michael Waydock says there are no excuses.
I think when you put £20.45 million of taxpayer, lottery payers' money into a sport, you are entitled to ask questions.
There's more at talksport.com.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. 4 o'clock, Andy Goldstein, Darren Bent, as always, will bring you Drive, plenty for the boys to get stuck into this afternoon after another busy weekend's football. We're going to talk Ryder Cup in this hour, but before that, we're talking Formula One. We have a Grand Prix to reflect on, but predominantly we're going to chat about our next guest's new book, Formula One Cars, the greatest F1 cars from 1950 to the present day. And we're delighted to say Maurice Hamilton is back in the talkSPORT studios. He's the author of the book. Good to see you, Maurice.
Lovely to see you too.
Yeah, it's a lovely book. Nice book. They've done you proud, haven't they? I mean, look, there's lots of great facts, lots of interesting writing, but I tell you, the picture editor's done you proud. It's a lovely coffee table book.
Yeah, I just gave him a list of what I wanted, a wish list, and they come up with the pictures, and they were terrific. Because sometimes, you just don't know what they're going to find, but these are excellent. So they go with what I hope is good text.
What was the first true F1 car then? You could regard as a Formula One car? Was that? Does that?
I think the one that we all remember is the first one in the book, which is the Alfa Romeo 158, because it won the very first. Formula One came into being when this is the reason for the book is that this is the 75th anniversary of the start of Formula One, which started at Silverstone in 1950. And that race was won by the Alfa 158. And I think in everybody's mind, I mean, I had a dinky toy, as many at my age did, a red dinky toy, and it was the Alfa. It was the first Grand Prix car that we can remember. So it's the first one in the book for a good reason.
And do you think are they associated? Is it kind of associated with Fangio? Is that the first name that comes to mind with these cars, or
it is. Fangio, I think, was the king of that era of the early to mid 50s, and he drove for all the great teams, of which Alfa Romeo was one. Although he didn't actually win the championship in that first year. So it doesn't matter because he still went on to great things. So yes, I mean he did drive an Alfa 158.
They don't look the safest, do they, compared to modern
I mean, that's the first thing, just how exposed the drivers are. I mean, what sort of speeds, let's go with the Alpha, what sort of speeds would that Alpha 158 be driving at?
Probably about 150, 160. And the driver's sitting up there in the fresh air.
Seatbelt.
No. And the early days, of course, they didn't have a proper crash helmet. They just had a leather helmet.
Yeah, look.
A linen helmet. So, yeah, it was just very different then because don't forget, this was not long after the end of World War II.
Yeah.
So you looked upon life rather differently than you do today.
Wow, it's. I mean, the evolution of them is quite stunning. When you look at it from, I mean, look, 75 years is a long time, but if you look at the kind of cutting edge nature, the state of the art nature of the current cars.
There is a bit of footage of Sterling Moss. He pulls into the pits. I promise you this happens, and the bloke's filling his car up, he's definitely got a fag on.
He's got a cigarette on in the pits while they're filling the car full of fuel.
Well, when Mike Hawthorne won the at Silverstone one year, he came back to the pits and he had a pint of beer in his hand because one of the marshals he'd stopped on the way back and somebody gave him a pint of beer.
Wow.
Can you imagine doing that today? Well, I think that you've hit upon a very interesting point there, Paul, because what happened when I was doing the book, going through, I realised that what I was doing was chronicling the changes, not just in safety, but in the social aspect of Formula One.
Yeah.
If you look at how it's run and all the pictures of the backdrop. And that was a lovely thing about it. I didn't appreciate that would actually happen as I was doing it. I should have thought of it.
I mean, safety is a key element of it. So when was the point where safety started to matter? What was the first kind of, in your eyes, sort of safe F1 car, or the one that afforded some safety to the drivers?
I think, a turning point was 1966, when Jackie Stewart had a bad accident, landed in a ditch in the Belgian Grand Prix and was trapped in the cockpit, covered in fuel. And there were no marshals. A couple of other drivers stopped to get him out of the car. And when they got him out, they realised there was no backup trackside. So he then started a campaign to bring safety into Formula, to make people realise that, look, if a driver goes off and it's not his fault, you've got to look after him as best you can. And that was the start of it. And then they started to think about the cars, because the fuel was just in an aluminium tank.
Yeah.
You puncture the tank, fuel everywhere, car catches fire. Do you remember, I mean, you used to regularly see crashes, and if you look at the March 701 1970, you'll see that there's a fire in that race and Stewart is driving through it in his March.
Wow, yeah.
And it's that, the two things about that. Two cars collided in the first lap and they both caught fire, which you can see, but the race continued. You can see Stewart driving to victory across the track. It's covered in foam and water. The two cars have just been put out, but the race wasn't stopped. I mean, that's unbelievable by today's standards.
Yeah.
But that's how things then evolved, because that was 1970. So gradually they thought, right, okay, hang on a minute, we've got to stop these races, because it used to be, well, you can't stop the Grand Prix. My goodness me, that won't do. But now, of course, you do. So that's part of the process of this evolution of safety.
Some of these British drivers, though, became sort of national heroes, didn't they, in that sort of Biggle style, really, like Sterling Moss, Graham Hill.
Yeah.
They were great characters and great personalities, and they sort of transcended the sport, I think.
They did, and even, James Hunt, 1976.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Absolute classic. That was one of the classic years, the blonde-eyed boy against Niki Lauda in the Ferrari, the slightly aloof Austrian in the Ferrari, and our boy James Hunt in the British McLaren. That really captured the imagination, and that, in fact, did a lot to bring Formula One to the forefront. It was televised a lot after that because of that great battle between Hunt and Lauda, when, of course, Niki Lauda had that accident that nearly killed him during the course of that season.
In an effort to make them safer and faster and all sorts, you think they've lost a bit aesthetically when you kind of look back at the old cars? Are they still as beautiful as ever or not?
That's a very interesting question, because I think it's technology has increased at such a rapid amount, particularly in the past, say, 10 years, that now that aerodynamics and downforce and all this sort of stuff is playing such a big part, that the cars now, they've got all these front wings and stuff that just, to me, don't look out of place. They don't look right. Whereas if you look at a car from say the 60s and 70s, where they didn't have that, before aerodynamics came in, they looked like a racing car should.
Yeah.
The cockpits, I was looking at Piastri's crash this morning, start and crash, and they showed it from his POV, the cockpit.
Yeah.
It's just like a computer game, isn't it?
It is. But I mean, talking about the cockpit, Andy, that is, I think that's right. That the driver should be protected. He's got full protection in that cockpit, with the halo above his head. I mean, there were a lot of objections to the halo when it came in. People thought it's unsightly, which it is, but you had to have it, and it has saved lives since. So certain things have evolved to make the cars look very, very different, but they are necessary.
Do you have a favourite, Morris? If you had to pick one out of all, as you started to write about these, is there? If you could own one, have one at home in sort of Hamilton Towers and drive it round your grounds, what would it be?
Well, I think what people are going to find when they pick the book up, they will flick through. There's 50 cars in here.
Yeah.
And they'll stop at one and go, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one.
They'll probably link it to a driver or a race.
Correct.
Yeah,
you do. Or your first race, the one that turned you on.
Yeah, sure.
So for me, Jim Clark was my hero.
Yeah.
And when you look at the Lotus 49 from 1967, beautifully clean car. He drove it. I saw him win what unfortunately turned out to be his last win in Britain at Silverstone. So that's got a lot of memories. But apart from that, the car itself is gorgeous. It's just very simple and pure. It was before the advent of aerodynamics, so there's no wings on it, nothing like that. Before advertising, it was green and yellow. There was no commercial advertising on it. So things, again, and that an interesting thing also about that particular car is that it lasted for 3 seasons.
Wow.
One car lasted. Yeah. And if you look at the pictures of that car, at the start in 67, Jim Clark drove it. It was green and yellow. 3 years later, Jochen Rindt won with the same, an advanced version of it, but it's covered in John Player symbols. It's got wings front and back.
Yeah.
That happened over the space of 3 years.
Yeah, the cigarette advertising is, it takes you back. Morris's book is called Formula One Cars, the greatest F1 cars from 1950 to the present day. It's published by Collins, beautifully illustrated, and a lovely Christmas,
you're a fan of F1,
Christmas present for the F1 fan in your life. It's a lovely book. So, Morris, let's just quickly touch on Azerbaijan. And I saw some comments from McLaren's team principal, and they think it's game on with Verstappen. They are looking over their shoulder because there's plenty of points to play for, isn't there?
Well, if they keep doing what they did yesterday or last week, yes, there are. I think it's a tall order. I mean, let's talk this up. Max Verstappen's won 2 races in succession, driving brilliantly. I mean, the Red Bull has improved, yes, but Verstappen is carrying it on his shoulders, as it were, by just doing extraordinary things. Saying all that, the 2 circuits we've just had, Monza and Azerbaijan, suit the Red Bull more than the McLaren. We're now going to go to Singapore, which is a different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
If Verstappen and Red Bull are dominant there, like they have been for the past 2, it's game on, definitely. But I don't think it will be. I think McLaren will be back on par, back where they have been of those 2. But for him to win the championship, he has to take, you're probably better at maths than me, Paul, he's got to do something like score 10 points more per race than Piastri.
Asking a lot.
That's a tall order.
Christian Horner has officially left today, Red Bull. I mean, apparently the figure is £52 million, and he could be back into work. I mean, do you expect him back in work very soon?
I don't know where he'd go. I think he'd like to come back. I mean, it's all very well. The money probably is coincidental because he's probably earned enough as it is. I think what's happening is when you've been front and centre of Formula One like Christian Horner's been, to have it stop suddenly and you're no longer there, you're no longer on the pit wall, you're no longer being interviewed, he's going to miss it like crazy. So I'm sure he'd love to come back, but he's not going to come back at anything other than being a team principal because that's what he's done. So where would you go? I don't know where he would go. There's a new team coming in, Cadillac. Maybe go there because that's a challenge to bring that team up, but then they've got themselves sorted out. So I'm sure he'd love to come back, but it would have to be under his terms, and I don't see how that would work.
Morris, we wish you well with the book. Thanks very much. Good to see you again. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, guys. It was lovely to see you.
Yeah, Formula One Cars by Maurice Hamilton with a foreword by Martin Brundle, published by Collins. A lovely Christmas present for the F1 fan in your life. Just a reminder that DAZN brings you over 180 fights a year on an undisputed schedule featuring stars like Dave Allen, Joshua Barazzi, Jaron Ennis, Nathaniel Collins and more. Sign up now at DAZN.com/boxing.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at DAZN.com/boxing.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Two-time Ryder Cup winner David Howe has spoken exclusively at talkSPORT. Sean O'Brien ahead of it all getting underway on Friday in New York, and he spoke about the pressure of playing in one of golf's biggest tournaments.
Yeah, well, back then I think I had I had 3 weeks, certainly 2, and I had to withdraw from a tournament because I was shattered and slightly injured. All very exciting, but also sort of intimidating. You're realising that you're going to be, in the limelight all week, and as a golfer, certainly anxiety and stress builds until you get there. I mean, I got myself in quite a state with my game. I'd obviously played some really nice golf in the year building up to it to make my way into that team. But you wouldn't have known it come Tuesday and Wednesday morning when I was at Oakland Hills. I was awful in practice. And that's difficult to cope with, no doubt about that. Your fears are at the forefront of your mind. You don't want to let down these 12 players or 11 players and the thousands, watching millions on TV.
There we are. You can hear Sean's full chat with David Howe. For other great golf content, be sure to check out the talkSPORT Golf YouTube channel. The latest episode of the talkSPORT Daily podcast with Sean O'Brien and Rupert Bell was a big preview of the Ryder Cup. That's available from all the usual podcast platforms, as well as the talkSPORT app. Let's speak to someone there who knows what it's been like to be in the belly of the beast in a Ryder Cup out in the States. He was on the bag of Martin Keimer when he put that putt down the Miracle of Medina. It is top caddy Craig Connolly. Hi, Craig.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
Yeah,
good, thanks.
Not so bad. We're going to do a bit of Celtic later on, so get yourself ready for that. We'll start.
I'll get the Celtic shirt out.
Yeah, we'll start with that. One of the most famous moments in Ryder Cup history, and you in front and centre of that. Your man put down the winning putt. There's been an awful lot of talk about what the atmosphere is going to be like at Bethpage back and how raucous it's going to be. I wonder sometimes whether it is a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy and a passport for letting people behave badly. What are your memories of Medina? Because obviously, a Chicago crowd's not a lot different to a New York crowd, is it?
Not at all. Not at all. I think they would be the same. Caddy won US Open at Bethpage Black and another at Shinnecock, which is on Long Island. They're absolutely brutal. Chicago was absolutely horrible. I was in contact with a journalist during the week there, and he was asking me of some memories and what was being said, and there was some vile stuff aimed at Martin at Medina. And yeah, I mean, you say we were front and centre, but it certainly didn't feel like that. It was David, I just heard Howler there comment on his first Ryder Cup. I was actually carrying for Paul Casey when we played with Howler, and you'd never have thought that, the way he played. But, you know, getting back to Martin at Medina, he played really poorly in practice. I think if it had gone on another week for qualification, he would have fallen out of the team. And he played poorly on a Friday. It was dropped all day Saturday, and then we get to, obviously, the singles match. And again, you're in the penultimate match. We're 10-6 down. You're thinking it's done and dusted. You know, we're just out here making the numbers up, and lo and behold, it comes down to us. And I remember on the 16th hole, Jose Maria comes charging down on the buggy and puts his arm around Martin and says, you know, we really need this point. And Martin looks at me and goes, really? That's what he's got to say. So, so the pressure was on there and then, and I think we were all square. Martin was one up playing 15 and 3-putted it from absolutely nowhere, and then obviously we get to 18 and then it's history, as you say. But it was a very, very poor week, and it ended up being the week of your life.
Yeah. Are you caddies getting it as well, Craig? I mean, it's not just, I take it you boys get some clog as much as the players do, didn't you?
I got it. Yeah, you do. I remember being at Hazeltine in 2016. I'm trying to walk a yardage off, and we're playing with Danny Willett. And I don't know if you can remember, Danny's brother said something on the eve of the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
Something about the. And Martin's like, you're kidding me on. This has to happen now. And Danny's wailed it way right. And I'm out getting the yardage, and this big American, must 6'6" or something, starts saying stuff to me. And the little Glaswegian in me, little angry man, just can't help but stick back and a bit back. And obviously I've got the protection with me, I've got security, I've got police, and I said, that guy there, he's got to go, you know, get him out of here. And then they walked the guy away, and he was just like shouting numbers at me, you know, and obviously carrying on live now. I've got the laser, all I had to do was stand there now and just shoot it. But I was walking it off, and he was just irritating me. And the little angry Glaswegian in me just couldn't let it go.
Do you think it'll be different this time? I did read a piece the other day in one of the papers that because they're being paid, the American players, for the first time, that this could cause resentment. And if the results are not going, the crowd could conversely turn on them. You could imagine that.
I could, with what happened 2 years ago, and you know, I think it was Patrick and Xander, and especially Patrick Cantley, that said, you know, we should be getting some of this, because they feel they're pulled from pillar to post. They're very much out of their comfort zones when it comes to the practice days. They're there the whole day, whereas it's an individual sport. Guys don't play 18 holes anymore in practice. They play 9 holes and they rest and they work out and they have downtime. But this week of the Ryder Cup, they've been pulled from pillar to post. Loads of social media engagements, and then when you've got the engagements, you've got the dinners at night. So I think that's where Patrick was coming from, and then it's easy for the Europeans to say we don't need paid for this. We just love it, and I'll guarantee you that both sides love it equally as much, and it means every bit to either side. But I can see if the Americans, if the same thing was to happen as what did back in 2004, where the Europeans ran away with it, I could see the crowd turning on them. But also, if the Europeans go off to a really good start, I think the crowd will get behind the American team, and I don't think they'll give up on them until that last putt's holed. But you know, I don't think the money have anything to do with it.
Do the caddies get paid in the Ryder Cup?
We get a nominal. We get a fee for caddying, yes.
Yeah.
But it's what you would probably get for your week's wage. So
yeah,
we do it for the love of the game.
Just quick one then. You're a big Celtic fan. You and Hearts top of the table. How are you feeling about the season so far?
European aside, they've got off to a really good start. really disappointed with the Old Firm game, and it's obviously been well documented and spoke about how poor both sides were. They never laid a glove on each other, and Rangers were there. Being a Celtic fan, Rangers were there for the taking. I think it's been a very solid professional start, and I think there's only better to come from Brendan and his men.
Good stuff. We're tight for time, Craig. Lovely to talk to you. Enjoy the Ryder Cup. Thanks very much.
Well, cheers, guys. Thanks, now. Bye-bye.
Craig Connolly there, former caddy to Martin Keimer and Paul Casey. And gets underway Friday, of course, and all the build-up for the rest of the week. Rupert and Sean and the gang out in New York. Still to come with us, Angelina Kelly joins. It's been an emotional weekend for everyone in women's football in this country. Liam Scully's popping in to see us as well, the Lincoln City CEO. They take on Chelsea, live on talkSPORT tomorrow evening. And Andy Brassell's going to guide us around Europe. Yes, coming up in the final hour, we will be chatting to Andy Brassell. Some interesting stories around the world of European football. But first, Amelia Beltrell has the sports headlines.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Score a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Thank you very much, Paul, and a very good afternoon. Nani Madueke is undergoing scans today to determine the severity of a knee issue he picked up at the weekend against City. He was forced off at half-time in the 1-1 draw at the Emirates. Meanwhile, we're not so sure if Cole Palmer's going to be all right for Chelsea's EFL clash with Lincoln tomorrow night. That's, of course, live here on talkSPORT. And Sky Maresca says they're assessing the sitch.
Again, he tried Saturday morning, he did the test, it was okay, but not 100%. He wants to be there to help, teammates to be there in that kind of game. But unfortunately then with, 10 players and also it was painful.
It's after Palmer hobbled off 20 minutes into Saturday's loss at Old Trafford. Meanwhile, as the PFA holds talks with Chelsea over outcast Sterling and Disassi, Simon Jordan slammed the union as a disgrace.
First of all, I would have ignored them completely. I'm sure Chelsea will do. You know, the PFA are about as troublesome as a cloudy day and relevant as well. I mean, coming in and talking about what a player's doing, Chelsea know the responsibility for the £50 million asset that they bought and the £15 million a year that they pay in his wages.
Elsewhere today, we're hearing Graham Potter's job at West Ham is under serious threat. Before their defeat to Crystal Palace, around 3,000 Hammers fans staged a protest. Tony Murphy says the club needs to revert back to a more pragmatic approach.
West Ham's best chance of getting some good wins and being more successful than they are at the minute is going back to being more pragmatic, which the fans didn't really want.
Christian Horner is officially no longer at Red Bull. He's been handed a tasty payout worth £80 million and he has 20-year association with them. He's free to return to F1 as early as next year. And with the Ryder Cup set to get underway on Friday, don't forget to check out the latest episode of the brand new talkSPORT Daily Podcast.
talkSPORT News.
Nigel Farage says Reform UK would restrict welfare to British citizens only if his party wins the next election. And Fergie, the Duchess of York, has been dropped as patron of a children's hospice over an email she sent to paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Most places staying dry today with plenty of sunshine. Temperatures below average, but feeling pleasant in the sun.
Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Time now for today's Bet Builder with our friends at Paddy Power. We welcome Fern Buckley. We're going to look forward to tomorrow night's EFL Cup match as Lincoln City host Chelsea at Sinsel Bank. And we're going to be chatting to Luke Scully, the CEO of Lincoln, in the studio a bit later on. Now, you be nice, and be nice to Luke. Hi, Fern.
Good afternoon, guys. How are we doing?
Oh, Liam, sorry. I do apologise. I'm calling him Luke. Sorry, Liam, if he's listening. He's probably turned the car around now. Sorry, Fern. Yeah, so let's remind us how the Bet Builder works.
Yeah, of course. Well, there's a combination of bets across different markets. We've made our very own to get to our ultimate bet builder, add them all together to get some overall value. Paddy Power then put a £10 bet down, hoping that we get it right, because when we do, all those winnings go to the Attitude Foundation, who do brilliant work with the LGBT community.
Lincoln are going well at the moment, so I've gone both teams to score because it will be a changed Chelsea team. So what about that one to kick us off?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the first game these two teams have played in over 100 years. They last played together in 1911. So there's been some time in the making, lots of change since then as well.
I was there, actually. It was a great game.
Were you actually? Was it a good game?
It was quite young.
It was a 0-0 draw, actually.
21st birthday trip, wasn't it? Yeah, that's it.
Well, you've got a League One side, haven't you, that are doing really well at the moment. 10 games unbeaten compared to a £1 billion team in Chelsea. We know they've struggled a bit lately, back of those two losses, and maybe a bit of a changed lineup as well. So the both teams as to score market has actually landed in 7 of the pair's last 10 combined games in their respective competitions and leagues. So it's quite a nice one to have in your bet builder this afternoon, and that's in at 6-5.
Andy, you've gone with?
Yeah, I think there's an upset on the cards. I think Chelsea are in a bit of a state at the moment, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is a draw. In 19.
Going to pens, yeah?
Well, because they're going to play, they're going to play a mix of, players who aren't really featuring, plus a few young kids that he likes, and it'll be a ragbag team, and,
There's always that danger. That's true. Yeah.
100%. And there's a couple of clubs from Lincolnshire that have caused quite a few upsets in this tournament so far, isn't there? I'm thinking Grimsby Town. But historically, Chelsea, they have won 5 out of their 8 overall games of Lincoln City. Again, this was 100 years ago, so we haven't really got much evidence to go off right now. But we could be in for an exciting match, and that's in at 7-1.
Producer Sean's gone with Garnacho to score any time. It's a pretty good chance he'll play, isn't there, you'd say?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you would have been gutted that he didn't play or have any part in that game against against his old club over the weekend, hopefully starting this match for our bet builder. Hasn't scored or assisted yet since moving to Chelsea, so this could be a solid chance for him to get one on the sheets. For him to score any time, those odds are at 11 to 10.
Yeah, he's only played about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know. To be fair, give him some due, yeah.
Now, the people, your punters, they fancy Cole Palmer to have at least one shot on target.
I know.
It's whether he's going to be out there or not.
He won't play.
Yeah, exactly. Like we just heard in the news as well with Amelia, lots of doubt about what he's going to be going through at the moment. Maresca saying maybe a surgery, hopefully not, and playing just only 21 minutes against at Old Trafford this weekend. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a difficult one. If he does come on though, the people think Cole Palmer will get one or more shots on target, and the 140 minutes he's played so far this season, he has had 2 shots on target inside the box. So if he's fit, I don't think it's going to be happening, and plays this game. That is in at 1 to 7.
And you have gone with Freddie Draper to commit 2+ fouls. Their Lincoln
I absolutely
striker.
have. Yeah, considering his position actually as a centre forward, he's already racking up the amount of fouls he's committed this season. In fact, every 90 minutes he's committing over 4 fouls, which is pretty wild. So yeah, considering the Chelsea side they're going to be going up against as well, I think Freddie might be a bit busy in this game, and that is in at 1 to 8.
So across the board, then, if this all comes off, what are we looking at odds-wise, Fern?
I'm hoping it might be. I don't know if we've maybe got it bang on the money, but all in all comes in at 46.5 to 1. So from a £10 bet, you get a return of £476 tomorrow.
Oh, that's
and if we get it right, of course, it goes to the Attitude Foundation, who do brilliant work with the LGBT community.
Thank you, Fern. Thanks very much.
Cheers, guys.
There we are, Fern Buckley. That's Paddy Powers, bet builder for today.
What happens to the Palmer part of the bet if he doesn't?
I think they have the sort of sub-market, don't they? That the person who plays in his place can pick it up, as far as I know. And I'll double-check that before anybody makes me pay out on Paddy's behalf. Well, that is Paddy Powers, bet builder for today. Minimum odds 1 to 5 per leg, or it maybe just goes down to 4 legs. 18+, BigGamblerWare.org.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18+, BigGamblerWare.org.
Via the Sweeper podcast, we discovered that SJK, the Finnish side, and if they score in the 78th minute, all of their fans get a free sausage. Billy said, not sausage related, but our football team was on 99 goals in the season, and our secretary said whoever scored the 100th goal would get 50 quid. Every player bar the keeper was camped in their half. The 100th was an own goal. So I don't know if the secretary gave it to the bloke who scored it. Billy, thank you very much for that. What have you noticed, Andy?
Harry Styles took part in the Berlin Marathon yesterday.
Oh, really? That's good work.
Recorded an excellent time of 2:59.13.
Very good.
But the mad thing was, he ran under the name Stead Sarandos. I mean, these people are so up themselves. I mean, who cares if Harry Styles runs the Berlin Marathon? He doesn't need to run under a different name.
Who's Stead Sarandos? He just made that up, didn't he?
Yeah, some private joke, I suppose, in the name, but, you know.
I think we want to get to the bottom of who Stead... I know I'm Stead Sarandos. He might get very annoyed that his name's been used, or her. Anything else?
I like this one from the anniversary section of the Times. It says, Amar Shanghavi and Lillian Elizabeth Cox celebrate their first anniversary on 21st September. Yeah, tremendous. Yeah. With a new whippet.
With a new whippet?
Yeah, whippet, mouse, and a baby imminent. Nuts! Anybody that writes nuts, it just isn't.
It says nuts.
I'm so mad.
I thought you were saying nuts.
No,
you can't
it's in there. It's in there. It says nuts.
It says nuts, okay.
What, mad me?
So they celebrate their first anniversary with a whippet and a baby.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice, isn't it?
Fantastic. Marvellous.
You know.
I'm sure they're delighted to have got a mention on national radio.
Sure they have.
Anything else?
No.
No.
Well, I have.
Well,
You've always got something. But
I'll tell you what. We've got a competition. Should we do our competition? Let's do that. Here we go. Oh, we're going to do that in a minute. We're going to do that in a few seconds. And then we're going to be joined in the studio by Liam Scully. But Andy Brassell's going to join us next and look around the world of European football. Ballon d'Or night tonight, of course. So we'll get Andy's take on that. We're here with Tool Station. Who cares?
Because, again, it shouldn't even be a Ballon d'Or. It's ridiculous. It's like they put so much emphasis on it.
Yeah.
And it's a team game. It's not an individual game, is it?
So no football of the year, none of that football, right? Is there any individual awards in football? Not interested?
Not interested.
Could the Ballon not just be the team? I
might have been if we'd won on the weekend.
Oh, yeah. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So much of it's shaped by that.
I know.
We're here with Tool Station. Next stop, Tool Station.
Lover on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark Charge. Ultra rapid EV charging at an ultra low price. Find out more at arnoldclark.com.
Yes, thanks to Arnold Clark Charge, we've got an electrifying cash prize to give away today. We've also got a place in our grand final in Glasgow next month up for grabs, where one lucky winner will win a new MGS 5 electric car. Lovely prize. Joining us now, randomly selected from all our online entries, is Kieran, the Leicester fan. Hi, Kieran.
Hello, how are we?
Yeah, well, look, we're rooting for you here. You're going to have 60 seconds on the clock to answer as many questions about sporting speed and power as you can. For each correct answer, you'll earn yourself a point and £100. You're allowed to pass if you don't know the answer, but can only accept your first response. If you're our top point scorer at the end of the week, along with the cash, you'll also win a place in our grand final in Glasgow next month, where you could win a new MG S5 electric car. So 60 seconds to answer as many questions as you can. Kieran, are you ready to go?
I am, yes.
Okay, good luck. Your time starts now. Which powerful American tennis player has won 23 ladies' Grand Slam titles, the most since the open era of tennis began?
Serena Williams.
That's right. Which Ukrainian boxer is nicknamed the Cat due to his lightning-fast reactions?
Usyk.
That's right. David Beckham scored an incredible goal from halfway in the opening day of the season in 1996, playing against which team?
Bradford.
It wasn't. It was Wimbledon. Which British swimmer holds the Olympic record for the men's 100 breaststroke? British swimmer.
Phelps.
No, it was Adam Peaty. The Houston Dynamo play which sport? Houston Dynamo.
Football.
That's right. The circuit Gilles Villeneuve, known for the Wall of Champions at the final chicane, is located in which country?
France.
No, Canada. Which West Indies cricketer was nicknamed the Master Blaster for his powerful batting style? Okay, Viv Richards. The Talladega Super Speedway is used regularly for NASCAR races. In which US state can it be found?
Texas.
No, Alabama. New Zealand's Simon Culhane scored the most points in a single... I think your time is up. Is that right? OK, I can finish the question. Simon Culhane scored the most points in a single rugby union match in 1995, scoring 45 points against which international side?
Australia.
It was Japan.
3, I make.
No, fair enough.
You got 3 right. So it's not a bad day's work. 300 quid, Kieran. That's still not to be sniffed at, is it?
Yeah, I'll take that. Tough questions, very tough.
Yeah, they were pretty tough. Actually, no, against the clock, it's not easy.
No.
So you've won yourself £300. If that's the highest score at the end of the week, you've also won a place at our grand final in Glasgow next month, where you could win that new MGS5 electric car. So well done, Kieran. Let's fingers crossed for you for the end of the week. Thanks for playing.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you.
There we are, Kieran the Leicester fan. And if you'd like to win some cash and think you can beat Kieran scoring tomorrow's show, enter now at talksport.com/win.
Alan would definitely say, if you'd like to win some cash and think you can beat insert name score.
Yes, that's right. I took a chance on it and just said the right thing. Insert name here score. No, it's talksport.com/win. That's talksport.com/win. Come and have a go. We'll also be playing next week in Drive. For even more chances to win. That's all thanks to Arnold Clark Charge. Ultra rapid EV charging at just 55p per kilowatt hour. Find out more at arnoldclark.com.
EV Lover on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark Charge for your chance to win a new MGS5. Enter online now at talksport.com/win.
Troy Deeney said he wasn't massively impressed with Marcus Rashford turning up late for that team meeting and costing himself a start after a great midweek. Let's pick up on that and other stories from around Europe with Trans-Europe Expresses. Sorry, Danny Kelly's Trans-Europe Expresses, which he now insists on contractually. Andy Brassel. Oh, hi, Andy.
Hello, you're right. He's let me out today.
He has. That's
very nice of him.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. I mean, I've got no axe to grind, and it doesn't care what I think. But I kind of felt frustrated on his behalf. Why do that after what he did at Newcastle last week?
Yeah, and look, this is Hansi Flick applying the letter of the law. He was exactly 2 minutes late for the 9:30 meeting, Marcus Rashford. You're right, it is frustrating, though, when you think how good he was in that Champions League game. And the fact that with Lamine Yamal injured at the moment, he's got a great opportunity to play a run of games, to get himself in the best possible nick. And the fact is, having underlined that he could actually play in a central position as well as a wide position, because they signed him as a wide player to cover for Rafinha and for Lamine Yamal, he drifted into those central positions to score the goals against Newcastle. And of course, he gets left out. Ferran Torres, who's the best striker in the squad, the best central striker in the squad, who's not Robert Lewandowski, comes in, scores 2 brilliant goals in the first half against Getafe, and you think that's that. Well, look, Rafinha had a difficult first half. He got booked, wasn't really quite himself. So Flick took him off, put Rashford on. Rashford had a good second half. He created the third goal to make it 3-0 for Dani Olmo as well. So, look, this is something that Hansi Flick has been through with other players before and other high-profile players. Same happened to Jules Koundé last season. Same happened to Rafinha and a couple of other players as well. So, look, it's not a question of him holding it against Marcus Rashford going forward. That's not the case at all. They'll get past it, he'll apologise, and that'll be that. But it's just because he's got such an opportunity at the moment with Yamal not available, that's what makes it annoying.
He's a good manager, Flick, isn't he? He's done a good job there because it's a bit of a mad club when he went in there, and he's done well.
Really good. And I think how he kind of divorces himself from all of the political side of it, Andy, is because he just does everything in English. And you can kind of get away with that now, because with multinational dressing rooms, I think if you're German and you turn up with perfect English, that's the lingua franca, and you maybe don't end up learning the native language. Of course, there's Spanish and Catalan that he could learn to ingratiate himself with the locals. But it allows him to be a bit more blunt and just focus on the football bit of it, which is quite helpful. But if you look at the players that he's transformed, as well as winning stuff as well. I know everyone always used to say about Marcelo Bielsa, well, you know, he opens up players and completely transforms them, which is all true. But Flick does that and wins trophies at the same time. You look at what he did for David Alaba, Alphonso Davies, Rafinha, I think is a really good example for that. Someone who's a Ballon d'Or contender, having been someone who Barcelona had been trying to bin from pretty much 6 months after signing him. So that shows you what he can do for players. And I think Marcus Rashford has worked that out pretty quickly.
How did Bellingham look on his return?
Well, he's on for like 1 minute, so less bulky because he didn't have the shoulder strapping, I think is the clear answer to that. And I think we all felt good having a Real Madrid England player back in the lineup, because of course Trent Alexander-Arnold pulled his hamstring last week against Marseille on his Champions League debut 5 minutes in, which, talking of frustrating, that was really frustrating. And he's going to be out for up to 6 weeks. Now, his replacement later in the game, Dani Carvajal, got sent off, so he won't be in for the next Champions League game either. But Carvajal is super experienced, as we spoke about in previous weeks, pretty much a monument. So Alexander-Arnold is going to have to start again from zero, really, once this is passed. But another win for Real Madrid, 2-0 against Espanyol, who had their own Englishman starting, Tyrese Dolan, who was at Blackburn for the last couple of seasons and was pretty good there and has given a good first impression at Espanyol. But Real Madrid, 100% record still.
We've got used to Harry Kane scoring hat-tricks over in the Bundesliga, but you say there was another British striker who got a hat-trick this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Ollie Burke, who got his first 3 goals for Union Berlin, and not to be sniffed at all, away to Eintracht Frankfurt, who are a terrific team, and had just come off beating Galatasaray 5-1 in the Champions League. But by the time Burke had scored his hat-trick, it was 4-1 to Union, the visitors. Now, it was brought back to 4-3 in the end, and a bit of a chaotic ending. But Burke, I think, will score a lot of goals for them this season. I mean, he's been gradually improving. Of course, he's got a real patchwork quilt of a CV, and there'll be a lot of fans of various clubs he's been at, particularly in the Championship, sitting around and going, he was rubbish for us, or, you know, he didn't really pull his weight for us, or whatever. But he was really good, actually, for Werder Bremen last season. They wanted to keep him. They didn't manage to keep him because he got the offer from Union instead. And he's paired with a couple of forwards who will create for him. And they're a bit more attacking than they have been in previous seasons. And he's super pacey. So playing on the counter-attack like they do against better teams like Eintracht Frankfurt really worked for him. And you will never see 3 cooler finishes than the ones he put away. So he's not just getting himself in the spot, but actually taking the chances as well.
Hasn't played for Scotland. Well, he hasn't played for Scotland for 5 years, so maybe he'll get another chance. Now, Ballon d'Or tonight, and there's going to be a few empty seats among the PSG and maybe Marseille contingent, isn't there?
Yes.
I like the way you said and Marseille contingent.
Yeah. They're not going to have. I don't think they had many seats. I think it was sitting right up in the gods, the Marseille contingent.
Yeah, maybe Aubameyang was going and sitting on Dembele's lap. I don't know. But look, Ousmane Dembele will be there because he's injured at the moment and he's not involved. The deal was Marseille were playing PSG last night, Le Classique, the biggest game in French football. Didn't happen because of a storm warning. So what that meant is the game, by league rules, was to get played on the next available day. So tonight, which is the same night as the Ballon d'Or. Now, initially, the French league copped a lot of stick for this. They've been quite keen to come out and say, look, this wasn't us. They've been briefing because they wanted it to be Tuesday night because, of course, Ligue 1 normally never has a platform like this at the Ballon d'Or. But, of course, PSG have had a brilliant year. Dembele is probably the leading contender, but apart from Lamine Yamal, they're all PSG players, really, or maybe Mo Salah as well. You look at Hakimi, Kvaratskhelia, Vitinha, so many who could be involved who won't be there, who are leaving their tuxes in the wardrobe because they've got to play tonight. And look, Marseille really said to the league, we're not playing it Tuesday night, we're playing it Monday night as per the rules. They want to play it as soon as possible because PSG have an injury list at the moment and they never beat PSG. They've not beaten them at home in the league since 2011. That shows you how one-sided this rivalry is or has been for the last decade plus. They want to get on with it and they want to play it in the least advantageous situation to PSG, which I understand.
It's been damaging the Club World Cup, hasn't it? PSG got to the final, like Chelsea, they've got a lot of injuries. It's not a good situation.
Well, it could have gone two ways. You could have had those players making a good start because they were up to speed quicker, but it seems to have hit them for injuries. Just very quickly, Andy, because we're nearly out of time, how did Jose get underway for Benfica at the weekend?
Well, they won 3-0 at Aves, as you would expect them to, because they're one of the weaker sides in the division. I mean, obviously, the first test will be Chelsea away. These are the games I think he's going to be judged on. Actually, the domestic games are the ones he's going to be judged on, really, because it was the big games when he was at Fenerbahce that he wasn't really ready for. You know, they were games that his team, despite having loads of well-paid players and loads of good players, didn't really have the guts to win. And I'm sure Spurs fans know what I'm talking about. Obviously, Fenerbahce fans do. He became the first Fenerbahce coach to lose twice at home to Galatasaray in the same season in history. So when it comes to Porto and Sporting, he'll be judged on them. But funnily enough, away at Chelsea, where he just has to defend, maybe it'll be good old Jose.
Good old parking the bus, Jose.
Yeah.
Well, it's all the rage. Look at Pep yesterday.
It is.
But the other factor is, though, that it'll ramp up the atmosphere. So
yeah, it certainly will.
Yeah, it will.
Andy, thanks very much. We'll hear from you next Sunday on Trans Europe Express.
Yes, we will. Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much. That's Andy Brassel there, just a whistle-stop tour of what went on in Europe this weekend. Listen to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Trans Europe Express is available. It's you can luxuriate a full 2-3 hours of European and world football chat with the fellas. We're going to be joined by Liam Scully very shortly. He's the Lincoln City CEO. They take on Chelsea tomorrow night on talkSPORT in the Carabao Cup. They've had a good run in the tournament. They're doing well in the league. So it'd be interesting to. I'm sure he's in a good mood. I'm sure it's a few quid coming into the club as well because the game's at Sinsel Bank. So yeah, Liam with us shortly.
boring game or a fascinating one for the purists? Scholars are divided over what to make of Arsenal's draw with City. Professor Jordan reckons, like many others, that City, just like Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, was shown too much respect.
Are Man City the team? No, they're not the same team as they were a couple of years ago. So comparing what Man City might have been like against what Man City are like now, and then saying, well, actually, you have to factor into the equation, they're not the same side.
Right.
But Danny Murphy says we shouldn't forget the scale of what Mikel Arteta has already achieved.
Between 2017 and 2023, they were getting pumped. 9 times City and Liverpool scored 3+ goals against them. So now they're a side that go up against these top teams and actually are very competitive. Who goes to Liverpool and stops them having a shot on goal?
Elsewhere, The Times understands Red Bull have reached an agreement with Christian Horner for an £80 million payoff to end their association. The 51-year-old had been contracted with the team until 2030, and he's been locked in settlement talks for several weeks. And after Team GB failed to win any golds at the World Championships for the first time since 2003, our correspondent Michael Waddock is not impressed.
The facilities with the warm-up track being a 15-minute bus ride from the main stadium, again, that's been cited as something. But these were all knowns. These were all things that the athletes, their coaches and the support staff would all have known about. These are all things that should have been planned for.
There's more at talksport.com.
Tomorrow evening on talkSPORT, we bring you Lincoln City versus Chelsea in the Carabao Cup third round, and we're delighted to say we've been joined in the studio by the Lincoln City CEO, Liam Scully. Good to see you, Liam.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so exciting times at the club. Everybody must be so excited to have a team like Chelsea coming to Sinsel Bank.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when you support your local team like Lincoln City, I think it's a way of life. I think it's often been passed down to you, generationally. So, yeah, you don't often get to see the world champions come to town. So I think everybody's really excited. But ultimately, it's 11v11 on the day. I won't reel the rest of the football cliches, but yeah, we're there to try and win the game, and we're going to give it a real go.
There won't be a lot of world champions that play the There won't be. It's going to be a mixture of youth players and the players who aren't getting a game. And you always get this in the Carabao Cup, that the team who rests the most players always end up putting quite a poor performance because they're not used to playing with each other. So, it might take a bit of time. But, I mean, if Lincoln can get an early lead, they'll be in for something, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it. You only had to watch the last round, and our neighbours just up the road. Manchester United versus Grimsby and what went on there, and hopefully the teams from the lower league, you smell blood, and it's about taking that opportunity. So the LNER Stadium will be bouncing. There'll be a great atmosphere. I'm not too sure Chelsea will spend many times in dressing rooms as small as the away one. So I just think it's going to be one of those nights where you hope you can really take it to the establishment.
Yeah, I don't think that will bother them. They're used to that. They've played a lot of cup games over the years in different places. So I don't necessarily think that. I just think it's this thing of not being a team that's playing together.
Well, are you going to? Is your gaffer going to rest anybody? Because you're going well in the league, you want to get promoted as well. But I would imagine you'll go out full strength, pretty much, won't you?
Yeah, I think one of the beauties of our team this year is, from 1 to 24, we've definitely built a deeper squad. And whilst you always look what your cup final team could be, I think anybody's really genuinely in for a shout for the shirt. So whoever Michael picks on the night, I'm sure is going to give a good display. But yeah, this is a great opportunity for one or two players to really kind of put their name and show their name in lights on a bigger stage.
How lucrative is this for the club, a cup run like this, a bit of TV money, etc., etc.?
Yeah, significantly. I think it's no secret that, I came to the club the year after that great FA Cup run. But, on the back of that FA Cup run, we built our training ground. And that training ground was the thing, the catalyst that's enabled us to bring players in. Brennan Johnson, Morgan Rogers as loan players, develop players. We've had a record summer transfer window for sales, which is a huge part of what, lower league football clubs are trying to achieve. So there's no doubt, whilst I'm not going to compare that FA Cup run of 2017 to this, it's on the similar scales, and it's just a great opportunity, both directly from a commercial point of view, but equally, to create memories for those those fans that have supported the club through thick and thin over the years.
Would you like Lincoln Grimsby when the draw's made, if you do manage to beat Chelsea?
Look, I'd love to be in the hat for the next round, and I'd almost take that whichever way it comes. But yeah, I think ultimately, our aim here is to go as far as we can in the competition. We're probably not going to be at Wembley in February and March lifting the trophy, but still, I think we want to give it a real good go and hopefully go as far as we can in the competition overall.
Yeah, Cole Palmer won't play tomorrow because he's injured, but Esteval will play, I imagine. And I think you'll enjoy watching him. He's absolutely fantastic.
He's a young Brazilian kid, yeah.
Yeah. One of the great memories, the last time we probably had a game of this scale was we played Liverpool, but it was unfortunately during COVID times. Oh, yeah. And I remember watching some of the players there, and quite honestly, it was like watching something from another planet at times, watching what they could do. So yeah, there's an element of us that will be really looking forward to seeing the extreme talent that will be on display. But like I say, we fancy it and we want to give it a real good go.
Michael Scavani's your manager, and he's been with you a couple of years now. You've given him a decent contract extension, so it's a bit of a hire and fire culture there can be in football, but you're supporting your man.
Yeah, no, we've been stable, in the this is my 9th season, and we've disposed of one head coach in that time. One of the things that we try to bring to the football club is stability. We try and look at things over a long term, and maybe Michael wouldn't be a typical League One head coach when we appointed him. Coming from a PE teacher, futsal, background, and it's obviously that time he had as caretaker at Leeds United that really put him on the radar of everyone. But no, I think we definitely don't want to try and be different. It's not trying to make a statement or be anti-establishment or think we've got the blueprint, but yeah, I think the club and from ownership, we try and operate as stably as we can. We try and have a real kind of long-term run at things, and hopefully what the fans and everybody associated with the club is starting to see is that just bear to fruition with what's going on both this season in the league and equally with the cup run.
You seem quite a youthful CEO, Liam, but you've been in the game for a long time, like 20 years. You're at Doncaster. They got Spurs, haven't they, on Wednesday evening? So they've both got plum draws.
Yeah, it was nice actually speaking to a few old friends and seeing the draw. I think two great draws for us, and yeah, we'll be cheering them on the night. Huge affinity with that club, and I think this is what the League Cup's all about, isn't it? Lincoln versus Chelsea, Tottenham versus Doncaster, Grimsby versus Manchester United. These are great opportunities, and like I say, without labouring the point, that the memories that you can create for lifetimes in these games are just great for lower league football.
Wait, were you a player? Because I see you came through a PFA-funded apprenticeship to kind of get started on the route. So did you play professionally?
Yeah, no, never quite made it to the professional levels. I'm a goalkeeper that has got that real problem of not being the tallest, so never quite made it to that stage, but actually got a lot to thank the PFA for. I came out of the system and without the apprenticeship in the coaching side, could have been one of those people that were just lost. So yeah, internally grateful, but yeah, this is my 24th season in the EFL, either in the community side or the professional side, and yeah, got a lot to thank the PFA for and a lot to thank the game for. So it's not just on the field and what it develops for the players. I think equally off the field as well.
I think the manager should give you a game tomorrow. Should put him in goal.
Yeah, I think George and Zach are far more adept than me. So let's see.
Yeah.
So who should we watch out for? People who haven't watched Lincoln.
Yeah, I suppose our newest signing, we probably record signing probably attracted a bit of attention. Ivan Varfolomeev, we actually signed him. He's a Ukrainian that was playing in the Czech league. So for us, that was a dipping our toe into a different market. We actually sold one of our academy graduates, Jovan Makama, to Norwich, and that enabled us to just reinvest some of the funds. So I think he's probably going to have quite a lot of the attention. But I think equally, you look at the spine of the squad and players that have been here for a long time. The likes of Adam Jackson, who's our longest serving player, but a fantastic servant for the football club. Had been played at capped at England under 21 level. Probably never quite made it at the absolute top echelons of the game, but he's gone on to have a fantastic career. So I think it's probably both ends of the spectrum. Those that have gone on and played their trade and done a really good job of having a career outside of the absolute top, and then equally the likes of Ivan and others that it's certainly going to be their chance to shine.
And staging a game like this, finally, Liam, it's all extra work. It's great, but telly, radio, we're there, talkSPORT, you'll be looking after us and everybody else, and got a big team like Chelsea come in, and You got a decent bottle of red in the boardroom for Enzo?
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lovely problem to have. Yeah, we're certainly not used to maybe the sizes and the scales of the backroom staff and everything that comes with it with playing Chelsea. But that's all part of it as well. It's probably a different life that we live in, a different existence when you look at League One to the Premier League. But again, it's going to be a good opportunity for us to see ourselves against those that are at the very top of the game. But I assure you, absolutely, whatever happens on the field, after the game, it'll be done in good spirits. It's been enjoyable working with colleagues at Chelsea in the planning of the game, and it'll be just a great night at the LNER Stadium.
Well, Liam, have a great night. Hope you enjoy it, and our guys will be there with you. It's going to be live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. Adrian Durham will be at Central Bank.
So.
Yes, Jim Proudfoot and Andy Townsend, the former Chelsea midfielder, are your commentary team. So have a great night. Thank you very much, Liam.
Thank you very much.
Angelina Kelly pops in to see us very shortly. We look back on the WSL weekend, which has been a very emotional one. We're here with very good friends at Tool Station. Say one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Tool Station. Time to look back over the Women's Super League weekend. Angelina Kelly's joined us in the studio, and it was a weekend dominated by the tragic news that Matt Beard had died, and there was a real outpouring of love and respect for everything he did. I mean, you kind of feel women's football is a pretty close-knit community, and people were devastated quite clearly, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the main thing about this is the outpouring of really kind, really sincere messages speaking about what a good person he was. I think that tells you everything. But, you know, for those who maybe aren't aware of Matt Beard or what he did for women's football, you know, he was a real trailblazer. He's not somebody who just rocked up when the league became professional or anything like that. He was really there from the beginning and helped drive it. You know, won 2 Women's Super League titles for Liverpool back-to-back, helped secure them promotion from the Championship back to the WSL when he had his second spell with Liverpool in the 21-22 season, took Chelsea to an FA Cup final. You know, Emma Hayes succeeded him at Chelsea, so I think he really put in some good foundations for her to build, you know, such a dynasty. And, you know, he really believed in the women's game when few did. And like you say, it is a bit of, as much as women's football is growing, it is primarily a small community, and a lot of people knew him very well. And, you know, such sad news because, you know, he really encouraged a lot of players. And like I say, the amount of, you know, when somebody passes away, you always get a lot of really nice messages. But for me, the sheer volume of what I've seen is a true testament to, you know, what a great person he was and what a great coach he was for so many players. That
Villa-Liverpool was postponed, wasn't it, the game at the weekend? There was a minute's silence at all the other matches over the weekend. So, yeah, it was a very tragic story. In terms of the football, there was a 0-0 draw between Manchester United and Arsenal. What did you make of that?
Suited Chelsea, didn't it?
Well, you know, one thing I must say, it was at Leeds Sports Village, 8,665 people, a record crowd for a home game for Manchester United women, so that was really good. I think that everyone expected a bit of a goal fest, you know, 9 goals from the first 2 WSL games for these sides, but, you know, it wasn't meant to be. I don't know if the fact that Manchester United have been competing in Champions League qualifiers, so they've played 7 games, Arsenal only 3, I don't know if that played a role, but I have to say, Fallon Tullis-Joyce was absolutely fantastic, the Manchester United goalkeeper.
The save from, I keep forgetting the name, the girl who's time from Liverpool.
Olivia Smith.
Wow, she had a fantastic shot. It was a brilliant save. She pushed over the bar.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Hannah Hampton made some good save. Not Hannah Hampton, sorry, that's Chelsea. We'll get on to that. But the Arsenal goalkeeper, Daphne Van Donselaar, she, you know, did spill across. Melvin Mallard tested her. So I think for Manchester United, the first 10 minutes, they actually could have been 2-0 up. Arsenal, for me, looked a little bit sloppy at times, not as ruthless as we're used to, but I think credit to both defences. And Katie Reid for Arsenal, she's filling in for Leah Williamson, who's out with an injury. You know, she's 18 years of age. Renee Slagers must really trust her to keep playing her. Maya Letizier for Manchester United was good. So, yeah, one of those, you know, a bit unfortunate that it was 0-0, but I do have to say credit to Olivia Smith and Taylor Hinds, Taylor is the ex-Liverpool vice-captain. They both obviously were coached by Matt Beard last season. Renee Slagers said that it was up to them if they wanted to play, and they both said Matt would want us to play. So I'm sure it was quite emotional for the two of them. And I think, considering the circumstances as well, they both put on great performances.
Chelsea, was it a pretty unconvincing 1-0 against Leicester? I saw the goal, Aggie Beaver-Jones, but Leicester had a couple of chances. Maybe it was a little bit nervy.
They did. I mean, Chelsea have kept their 100% start, but in the 8 previous meetings with Leicester, Chelsea have scored 38 goals. Wow. So again, you expect a goal fest.
Stuttering a bit. You can feel it. You know.
Is that Europe, or what's that all about? I wonder. Or not?
Yeah, maybe it's just psychological. Just trying. You know, the season hasn't really got going yet, and I suppose, you know, coming off another great season, you know, it's hard to keep raising yourself mentally.
Sure.
I think in the men's game we've seen it with Manchester City, you know, trying to keep those high standards constantly. But Sonia Bonpastor, the Chelsea manager, has spoken about how she is tweaking systems and maybe that's affecting things, but she understands it's early on in the season. But the Leicester goalkeeper, Janina Leitzig, she did really, really well, putting some really good saves, and I think had Leicester been a little bit more clinical, I think, you know, they could have got something from that game. So I think Chelsea will be happy that they're still unbeaten, but they're going to have to raise their levels to keep this up, I think.
A tough weekend for West Ham's men and women. They were beaten 4-1, the women, by Brighton, and the West Ham keeper had had a tough old day at the office.
Yeah, I mean, she's just back from injury. I was actually at the Spurs game where she picked up the injury when she'd clattered into the goalpost. But you know, she's back. You know, there were a couple of blunders, but I just think from West Ham watching them, you know, they were really good in the second half, and I think had they have applied themselves more in the first half, maybe it could have been a little bit better. But I think Fran Kirby for Brighton, I know our own Adrian Durham is a massive Fran Kirby fan. She's brilliant, you know, playing in that number 10 position for Brighton. She was fantastic. And Rosa Kafaji, who's on loan from Arsenal at Brighton, she was really, really good. Michelle Adjiman, who again on loan from Arsenal, was the superstar of the Women's Euros for England. Still waiting on her first WSL goal of the season. She came very close, but she did get an assist. But I think that goal will definitely be coming for her.
I think she's disappointed to have gone out on loan after playing so well in the Championships.
I think it's a difficult one. I think the main thing, if I was her, you would look at the attacking options that Arsenal have. And I think for her, as much as she's a fantastic player, at 19 years of age, you've got to focus on the minutes. And I think at Brighton, she's going to get the minutes, whereas with Arsenal, you've got so many players. You've got Alessia Russo, you've got Blackstenius, you've got Beth Mead, you've got Olivia Smith. I could go on and on.
Yeah, that's true.
So the minutes, I think, are most important for her.
Grace Clinton had a season at Spurs and was brilliant, and United got her back, but she's now gone to City and scored on her debut against Spurs. We did get a bit of a tonking on Friday night, didn't we? 5-1.
Yes, I mean, Grace Clinton, you know, as a Manchester United fan, seeing her move on, you know, it was quite sad, but Jess Park coming from Manchester City to Manchester United has been great. But I think for Manchester City, the worry was Lauren Hemp. She limped off in the 22nd minute with an ankle injury. She was out for 5 months last season with a knee injury. So that's a little bit worrying. But I think for Manchester City, you know, 8 shots, 4 on target, 3 goals in the first half. You can't really complain. But with Hemp, Mary Fowler's also out. There's going to be a lot of pressure on their forward players. Good to see Viviana Miedema get a goal. Khadija Shaw, who was the top goal scorer joint with Alessia Russo last season, she had a penalty saved, probably not her best. But, you know, I think it was hard for Spurs. When you go 3-0 down at half-time, it's hard to come back from that. But I think overall, I think Spurs have had, you know, they have had a good start overall. It's just, you know, you come up against Manchester City, it's going to be a struggle with the quality they've got.
First win for London City Lionesses on Friday. But we want to ask you, before we let you go, about the Ballon d'Or tonight. Who's the favourite for the women's Ballon d'Or?
Oh, you know what? When you look at, I mean, you've got Aitana Bonmati, you've got Alexia Putellas, who are both absolute superstars for Barcelona, superstars for Spain. I personally thought had Spain won the Euros, it would have been Mariona Caldente, who was brilliant for Spain and won the Champions League with Arsenal. So I think she's a front runner for me. But I think if you're looking at English players, Alessia Russo is definitely up there. Of course, also won the Champions League with Arsenal, and you know was brilliant for England in the summer as well. So there's a couple of names. Me personally, I'd like to see the Putellas Bonmati spell broken. I'd like to see somebody else win it, but Barcelona are a great side, so some of their players in the mix. But I'm thinking Mariona Caldente for me.
That would be a great coup, wouldn't it, if Alessia Russo could get it? We'll find out tonight.
Yes, we will.
Fantastic. Good to see you, Angelina. Thanks very much for coming in.
More interesting than the men's one, really.
Yes.
We know it's going to be
We know it's going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it might be your mouse.
Yeah, thanks, Angelina. We'll be talking women's football next week. Now, following the sad news of the death of Matt Beard, Shabana Ahern brings you the women's football show. Well, she'll pay tribute to one of the greats of the game. She was telling a story on air over the weekend about an act of kindness to her sister, who's a professional footballer, and I'm sure she'll be talking about that tonight and reflecting on his life in football. You're going to hear from Sonia Bonpastor, Rennie Slagers, Millie Bright, and many other voices who were fortunate enough to work alongside Matt Beard. That's talkSPORT's women's football show, live on talkSPORT 2 at 10 p.m, or as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Well, that is us. I'll be back tomorrow. Former Premier League referee Graham Scott will be joining us in the studio. He's got a way forward. He has ideas about the future of refereeing, so it'll be interesting to pick his brains tomorrow. So I hope you can join myself and Charlie then. Coming up next, Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent will drive.